Hello everybody, so I'm Zulfikar, and as you know, I'll take up your Indian economy section. Indian economy, and I'm serving you people since last almost 20 years. Earlier I was teaching in Delhi University, but now I'm exclusively serving you people. Okay, so I will take up your Indian economy syllabus from prelims as well as mains point of view, and quite comprehensively. So what will be our approach? So here in our class, our approach will be simply, I will start with basics. Okay, so approach will be, I will start from very basics. Okay, because I'll assume that you don't have any background of economics. Okay, so I will assume that you don't have any background of economics. I will start from basics. Then after basics of that chapter, we will discuss what is going on actually now in the economy. So I will do analysis of the topic. Okay, so analysis in the context of current happening, what issues are there, why and how, government policy, some expert committee suggestions. Means I will go take it to the level of examination, like especially mains examination, prelims and mains both. Okay, so whatever topic we will take up, we'll take up from overall holistic perspective, because you should never study only from prelims perspective or only from mains perspective. Because if you focus on just prelims, some students, they focus just on prelims, then they actually are more factual. And until as you make meaning thing why and how, so it is difficult to retain. Okay, so our approach will be holistic from basics to analysis, and most of the topics, whatever we'll discuss, we'll correlate with current, what is happening, what is status. Okay, this will be our broad approach, and as I told you already, coverage will be quite comprehensive. And apart from that, you have to write, I think, exam in 2021, so time obviously is limited. So that is why you should have a very focused approach. A focused approach in the sense, you may completely rely on class note, that will be sufficient. So apart from that, you should focus on, remember one thing, just attending classes will not help. You have to focus on what? Learning. So most important thing is that you have to learn. Learning is important, not studying. Rather, I will give you suggestion कि if you are studying, you are just making fool of yourself, nothing more. You are counting hours. Until as you learn, it is of no use. It should be clear. If you are attending classes just for the sake of attending classes of no use, you should learn. Achha, what is meaning of learning? Learning is simply understanding. If you have understood something, that is learned. Nothing more than that. Okay. For example, any concept like we discussed. So for example, maybe CRR, cash reserve ratio. Okay, this is a term used in banking. So cash reserve ratio. So what is cash reserve ratio? I think some of you may have idea, but not most of you, I think. Cash reserve ratio is when you deposit money in bank, bank has to keep some money with RBI, some certain percentage. So right now CRR is 3%. So if you deposit 100 rupee in your bank account, your bank has to keep 3 rupee out of 100. 3 rupee means 3% of 100 rupee, 3 rupee with RBI in cash. That is cash reserve ratio. So what is cash reserve ratio? Percentage of deposits which a bank has to keep with RBI in cash. Okay, so have you understood? So I repeat once more, cash reserve ratio, CRR. So what is this CRR? I'll just give you example of learning. What is meaning of learning? Percentage of deposits which bank have to keep actually with RBI. Which percentage deposits which banks keep with RBI. Okay, if you deposit 100 rupee, so CRR now is 3% for banks. So if you deposit 100 rupee, then this bank, particular your bank, has to keep 3 rupee with RBI in cash. That is CRR. Okay, have you understood? If you have understood, it is learned. Nothing more than that. You need not require to cram language. So remember one thing, language is not at all important here in UPSC. Why not important? Because in prelims, you have to just encircle. Okay, no language is needed as such. You need not require to write in language, one thing. Second, in mains, most of the questions are tilted. They want to know your understanding of the concepts. And they never ask the definition of CRR, define CRR. They will not ask. The questions are related with applied aspect, practical aspect. They know, and they link different concepts. They want to know your understanding. So you have to write answer in your own words if you want to get good marks. And it should be clear, in means it is not possible that I can give you some model answers like in colleges we can do. In universities, few questions are consistently repeated. If you have to write 5 answers, okay, and you may prepare out of the last few years questions, you may prepare maybe 10 questions, then it is almost sure that out of 10 questions 5 will click in exam, in the university exam. But here they can ask anything could be asked, and questions are not hardly any question is repeated in UPSC. Especially in means you cannot expect any repetition. So overall this is very dynamic. Anything could be asked, whatever is important actually, whatever is relevant. So you have to write answer in your own words. It is not possible that I can give you some model answers 10, 20, 30 and you may cram them and you may write in means. No. I will give you the concepts. I will give you, sir, we will discuss the topics. But on that topic, what will be language? You have to see the language, accordingly you have to write. And they will connect this topic with other topic. Okay, so which other topic? So you have to think there and you have to write on your own, in your own words. So language is not very important. And never try to cram language. It will restrict your speed. Speed of learning will be restricted. So learning simply means if you have understood and you can tell in your own words, that is learning, nothing more than that. So focus on learning. Okay, and learning will not be enough. Another thing is revision, because you have like understood this, but until as you revise again and again, you will forget. So revision is very important. So some students, they say, sir, revision is very boring. So my very direct suggestion is that if you cannot revise, don't think of at least UPSC. Don't think of this exam, because without revision, it is not possible that anybody can qualify this exam. So all toppers, they do multiple revisions. Toppers have told me that they have revised 10, 20, 50 times, up to 50 times means toppers have told me. But I think 20, 30 revisions usually toppers do. So, there's a saying, it is better to study one book 10 times rather than study 10 books once, because if you study it creates more confusion. Okay, so one book, because content is almost same, basics are same, and then everything you have to connect with current issues analysis. So don't study much books, because okay, so learning and revision. And how would you ensure that you are actually learning or studying, just studying or learning? Simply, if let us suppose you have to study 1 hour, so you should study and rather learn for maybe 45 minutes. Okay, not 1 hour, 45 minutes. And for 15 minutes, just keep on recollection. So now close copy and then think what you have learned till now in the last 45 minutes, what you have learned. Then try to recollect the concept. Then open copy and then compare. Have you recollected all points or not? See which point you recollected, where you missed. Okay, again then revise it. Again, then close down copy and again do recollection. To do it again and again. May not be 45 minutes later, maybe after 15 minutes, 20 minutes of learning, do recollection. Okay, and even better way is that after recollecting, just jot down some points in just 1 minute or half minute, just write down rough points only, and then compare, did you recollected all points or not? You have to do again and again this thing. Okay, and very simple, a technique to check whether you are learning or just studying is that give your copy, you have learned one chapter, give your copy to your friend or colleague, anybody, and ask him or her, ask any question from this. If you can do this thing, then it is sufficient. Got the point? So learning and revision, multiple revisions will be needed. So I'll tell you the technique of revision. So very simple technique is that, like for example, you have attended this lecture. So I think on an average, I dictate about 7 to 10 pages, 7, 8 pages, 9 pages, I dictate on an average in one lecture. Okay, so you should do what? You should learn after class, you should learn those notes, and once you have learned, then make very short notes, synopsis you can make. For each chapter, take just A4 size sheet and just write down the main heading, topic, and then just write down keywords. Next topic, just write down keyword. So make very short notes. So try to on an average, I think 8-9 pages you will write in your copy, and then you should try to write in on a single page, at the most back to back 2 pages. Like take a sheet of A4 size sheet and then jot down the main concept, means the term, and the main actually concept of that term, so that in one, just by looking into this, you can recollect the entire concept. Okay, so what is benefit of making synopsis? Okay, the benefit of making synopsis is that this making of the synopsis will help you to learn, to organize information, because you know what is learning. Learning is a very active thinking process. When you learn, you integrate new information with the already existing information. What the point? When let us suppose I told you CRR, cash reserve ratio. So you have integrated what are banks, what is RBI, when I deposit money. So a lot of things which you already know, you connect with the new thing. What the point? So learning is integrating new information with the already existing information. It is very, and what learning is a process of discrimination. So when you learn something, you discriminate how it is similar to what I already know, how it is different from other things. So you have to discriminate actively how it is similar, how it is different. So and learning means when you, let us suppose I dictate a definition. So in that definition, you have to find out core words. What are core words? So when you will make synopsis, you will not write entire language. You will find out core words. So when you will make synopsis, you have to find out, you have to put efforts in mind, what is the core concept and what is the peripheral things. So it will help in organizing information and finding out what is core aspect. Okay, even underlining is very useful. So my suggestion is that before making notes, first learn, and while learning, underline in your copy, class notes. And underlining should be done, I think, at least twice or thrice. Like first time when you will underline first time, then you will underline most of the things. So I think underlining should be done after at least once you have learned, then underline. Okay, then you may take a highlighter, and then once you have learned, then next revision will require less underlining, then you may highlight. Okay, so like you have attended class, you may revise maybe once, underline once, and then maybe twice, and then make this synopsis. Now what is benefit of this synopsis? When you make synopsis, it will give you organization complete in one glance, because once you learn something, you can retain something which is better organized, and holistic thing will give you better organization. You can, if if you want to learn anything, you should have a holistic view, then it becomes easier. Just try yourself, you just try 10 words, new words, and just meanings. Okay, one option. Second, learn 10 words along with the sentence. Try to learn the entire sentence in which those words were there and meaning of those words, which will be easier for you to remember. Just word meanings and entire sentence plus meaning of that word. So just you can do an experiment. So obviously once you learn the entire sentence, it will be much easier for you to remember the meaning of that. And when you learn just word and meaning only, so it will be difficult to retain. You can do an experiment. And if you know the context of that sentence, or from where you have taken the sentence, it will become further easier for you. So learning becomes, once you have a holistic picture, then it becomes much easier. So learning, remembering sentences will be easier than the remembering a particular word. Okay, so you have to make things meaningful. Got the point? And organize. So this will help in organization. And second benefit will be, it will help in instant revision, because I suggest that you should do at least 20-30 revisions. So how? Let us suppose you have learned in the class and then make synopsis, and then if you have learned it today and made synopsis, then tomorrow within, I think, hardly 10-15 minutes you can revise the entire lecture. Okay, and tomorrow, next day after that, if you revise this, hardly 5-10 minutes. Next day again, hardly 5 minutes. Then after a few days, you will see and you will understand, okay, what is written in this. So then your photographic memory will start working. Okay, just like you might remember something you might have revised again and again. So just by one, glance, you will understand, okay, what is written in this. So you have to take to this level. Okay, just you can see and you will know, okay, what is written. So because why I'm talking much about this, because most of the students, they have this misperception that if they will attend classes, they can qualify this exam. This is a misperception. Any person may attend all the coachings in the country and not once, maybe 10 times. Nothing will happen. It should be clear. A person may study 16 hours a day or 18 hours a day. It won't happen. Nothing will happen. Okay, why? Because attending class is just a means. Studying or reading is a means. Ultimate thing is that for qualifying this exam, you have to be above cutoff. Okay, and for above cutoff, you have to solve questions, and you will solve questions if you have learned that. Okay, and not only just learning will be enough, because you have to recollect all the subjects, entire GS in prelims on one day. History, polity, economy, geography, and subjects are very long. You might have idea about the syllabus of UPSC. So this will help you to qualify. Okay, got the point? And our effort is to reduce your, actually, our objective is to reduce your effort. So what I can guarantee you, in economy section, don't worry. If you can just learn class notes, nothing else, no book, no newspaper, no magazine, nothing, you will be 100% sure you will be above cutoff. Okay, I repeat once more. In economics, don't study any newspaper, any magazine, any book. Don't touch anything. Just class notes and some supplementary material I will give you, like some PPT, etc. Just go through that and check yourself. You will be above cutoff. Every year, whatever are class notes, almost 60-70% questions on an average click in prelims. Okay, 60 to 70%, and hardly there is any year when 50% question may not be there, just from class notes. Got the point? Even this year, out of about 22 questions were there from economy, 22 or 23, 15 questions were there from class notes directly, what I have discussed in class. And how much is cutoff, in prelims? Hardly 50%. This year, last year it was 98 for general out of 200, means less than 50%. This year again it is expected to be less than 50%. So it is sure to qualify this exam, just notes are enough. Got the point? In prelims. In mains, even questions are more predictable in mains. So probably you may get at least maybe 70 to 90% questions directly from class notes. On an average, 80% you can expect. Okay, directly from class notes, you will get 80% questions in mains. Although for improving quality, for adding content, you may add some content from current, etc. So I'm not saying you should not study current, but I'm saying if you can just learn class notes, then it is enough to qualify. What I'm promising you, I am promising you this thing, in UPSC, they can ask anything under the sky and even beyond that. What I can reduce your effort, what I can do, I can reduce that from anything under the sky to anything in your copy. Just learn this, whatever is there in your copy, you can check that. Okay, and previous year's questions you can solve, you will realize where you stand. Okay, whatever topic we will discuss, almost all questions you can solve of UPSC or any other state PCS, any other exam. Whatever topic we will discuss, most probably you can solve almost all questions. Means at least 60-80% questions you can solve on any exam. Got the point here? And consistently I got this feedback after almost any exam. Like this year exam also, a lot of students have told me, sir, we have got most of the questions. Okay, so or any exam like other state PCS exam, or maybe even in UGC NET on economics. So a lot of students have told me, sir, we got a lot of questions from the class note itself. Okay, so but anyhow, for this purpose I need more time. So I take somewhat more time here in general. So because there is a nature, so I don't want to skip anything. So this is one problem. It will take some time, but there will be one issue. Since I will take up syllabus very comprehensively, so my speed will be slightly slow. So it will take some time to get a holistic perspective. Okay, like one by one topic we will discuss. And you will get a broader perspective when you study more topics. So you have to be patient initially, because whatever topic we will discuss, we will go in depth of that. So that holistic perspective will take some time to get a holistic perspective. But don't worry, as I told you already, just you can follow 100% rely on class notes. As I told you, no need to study any book, nothing. Just follow this and you can check where you stand. Okay, so and even revision, learning class notes, certainly require a lot of effort. It is not so easy. One thing. Second thing, why I'm emphasizing on this learning, revision and synopsis, reason is that most of the students, they have the habit of attending classes, and the only way you can correct this problem is in the beginning. Let us suppose if you keep on, most of the students, they just attend classes, they say, I will learn later, and later will never come. If you cannot learn whatever is taught gradually each day, so how you can learn every entire syllabus in one day or maybe in 1 month, whatever is taught? It is not possible. So it is now or never. Okay, so what is needed? Just commitment is needed. Okay, once you are learning, so remove all these things in mind, whatever is there in your mind, and just focus on just studies. Okay, especially switch off your mobile or at least put on silent mode for once you are studying. And okay, so that is very important. And here, one more thing is, there's a students are asking about Vision IS material for economics. Yes, I think you can go through that. So I'll give you priorities. First priority is the class notes, what you have written. Second priority, I will be adding those, that thing. And third thing, I think you can, after this class notes and some minor supplementary material which I give you, you can offer, you can go through this Visions IS material. But you know, in economics, books are not good. This is one problem. Like NCRT's coverage is too low. If you go through all NCRTs, so hardly it will cover one third of your syllabus. One third will be touched only. Two third will not be even touched. This is the problem. The books which are written for university exam, they are good, but they are not for UPSC, because orientation of universities and UPSC is very different. And the books which are written for competitive exams, there are problems. They are, almost all books are substandard. This is the problem. So I think you can refer this material, Vision IS material, you can refer. But first, priority class note. Second, whatever additional supplementary some material, and then I think it is certainly better than books. Okay. So now what learning, you know, if you really want to qualify this exam, just make a commitment कि whatever class you will attend, you will learn the same day, same thing. And if you can make synopsis, this is very, very useful. So you can easily revise the entire syllabus, and you can see almost all questions you can solve. At least 70-80% question of any exam you can solve just by this. Just try to do this and you will realize. It will take some time. Acha, one more thing. Now, learning will take more time or reading takes more time? Remember one thing, it's a misperception that learning takes more time. Not always. Learning of history may take more time, but in economics, you know, it is technical subject. So if you will understand the reason why and how, so here I will take more time to go in detail and give you the reasons. So if you will understand the logic, will be much easier for you to retain. So learning will be much easier. And you know, if you are sincere in the class, if you are having this perception, means this attitude of learning, then I think almost half, maybe 50 to 70% of the content you should learn in the class itself. So revision won't take much time. Then after that you have to mainly revise. Got the point? So if you have understood something, that is learned itself simply. Just like I told you example, I gave you one example, CRR, cash reserve ratio, that is percentage of deposits which bank keep with RBI. Simple. So if you deposit 100 rupee, 3 rupee will be kept with RBI. Okay, in detail I will discuss a long topic, lot of other aspects are there. Okay, what will happen when RBI will increase CRR? So then bank have to keep more money, and less money will be available for bank for lending. Got the point? So that I will discuss later, but I just explain you that if you will understand something, that is learn itself. So if you are sincere in class, so you can learn even half of your learning is done in the class itself, and then after that you have to mainly revise. Okay, so learning, don't worry, it will not take much time, but commitment is needed. So it may take initially some time, but remember one thing, time you need more or less, but reading will not help. It should be learning only which will help. Okay, so keep this thing in mind, and try to write as much as possible. First thing is class, this synopsis, and second thing very important is that attempt all tests which will be given from here. That is very important. Especially means both tests, objective as well as subjective. That is very, very important. Why students they skip subjective tests? Because they don't learn, and if you don't learn, if you don't know, how do you write? In prelims, okay, you can objective, you can tick. But if you really want to qualify, then focus on this thing. This is very important. Okay, so you should make a small target, realistic target, and try to achieve that. Normally students make a huge target, okay, I will study this and this and this, and they know from the back of their mind that they can never study this. They don't have so much capacity, and ultimately they know that even if I will put my 100% effort, I'm not going to achieve my target. So they lose all motivation. This is one problem. So that is why the very important thing is that please rethink over your targets. Are you achieving those targets or not? If you are not achieving, no problem, reduce that. If you are achieving half of your target, whatever but target should not be in terms of hours. It should be clear. Hours are nothing to do with this. You have to put a target in terms of learning outcome, learning or writing answers. Okay, and if you are achieving half of your target, no problem. Don't worry. Don't worry. Reduce your target. If somebody can achieve 1/3 of the target, no problem, reduce your target. Not in 1 year, you may qualify, you may become IAS officer in 2 years. What is problem in that? Got the point? But ensure that you should be moving in your direction. You must qualify. Even not in first attempt, then maybe second attempt. Got the point? And I don't think if anybody is sincere, so in the last few years, now questions are more general. So even first attempters are increasing. First, second attempters have somewhat increased. So what is needed? Holistic understanding. Got the point? And most of the students who qualify in first attempt, usually a lot of students have told me, okay, sir, we followed mainly class notes because they have limited time. The class notes and selected means, current and whatever maybe because 100% is not possible. Even I cannot give you 100%, but I can give you enough which will enable you to qualify, especially in my section, prelims or it may be mains. Okay, so commitment is needed actually. What is the thing? Commitment, what toppers have. Okay, and then it will be interesting also. If you will learn and understand things, the study will also become interesting, and you have to think why, how, and whatever newspaper article you will read, you will actually try to correlate with this. Acha, what about current? Current, I think you should just one newspaper I think is sufficient, and maybe one magazine. I think Visions magazine is good. Okay, so one monthly magazine, one newspaper, I think it will be sufficient at this moment. So initially focus on basics, because basics will never change. And if you go through means devote much time for current, some students are obsessed with current, like the toppers say, okay, I used to study 3 newspapers and 4 5 magazines I referred. But you should remember they referred those newspapers once they are thorough with basics, especially usually when they must have qualified prelims after that at the time of mains and interview. So initially you should focus on basics. Okay, but current is must. One newspaper, one magazine is must. I think 2-3 hours is more than sufficient. I think maybe 2 hours sufficient for current. Later you may add one more hour. After few months you may add one more hour. So optimization is important because time is limited, so you should optimize time. Okay, so this is Nitin, you have asked how much classes it will take to complete the subject. So usually I take 42 lectures, and I will try to cover within the 42 lectures. Maybe in online, maybe 2 lectures may be added, maybe 44 lectures. Okay, of 3 hours each. So I take normally more time. Okay, so because other teachers, I think hardly take 30-35 lectures, but it will be much challenging for me to cover in 42 or maybe 44 lectures. And okay, so because I will try to reduce my time by supplementing this, by reducing some dictation in simple things. So I will be supplementing this, because in online, there is some response time, there is some delay in response time. So that is why our speed is also restricted. So in the last batch, it extended actually much. So I will try to compensate for that. So it should not concern, because in the physical classes, now if I have told something from your body language, I'll understand you have understood or not. Shall I need to revise, means repeat that or not? But here I don't get this idea. And when I'll questions, so I have to wait for some time. So this is the reason slightly maybe 2 or maybe maximum 3 lectures may be needed. So 42 is planned, maybe at the most 45. Okay, so now regarding books, so books are obviously we talk about we start with NCERT. So in NCERT books, there are in class 11th there is a book Indian Economic Development. Okay, in class 12th, there are 2 books, Microeconomics and Microeconomics and Macroeconomics. Microeconomics and Macroeconomics. Okay, 2 books are there in class 12. So microeconomics studies one individual unit, economic theories, individual units, and here macroeconomy, overall economic system. So which branch of economics is more relevant for you? Which deals with economic theories or one firm, one person, etc., or entire economy, economic system as a whole? So obviously your syllabus is Indian economy, so macro is relevant. So you may go through macroeconomics, or this book is also relevant, Indian economic development. In this book, you will find basic features of Indian economy, like Indian economy and planning in Indian economy, reforms of 1991 in Indian economy, liberalization, privatization, globalization. You will find poverty in India, unemployment in India, and infrastructure in India, etc. Basic features of Indian economy. So you may go through this book, and this is not relevant. You no need to study this book, so macro. Okay, and no need to study, 9th or 10th book. So I think just 11th and 12th. One book and this another book. Okay, other books like the book which is good book is Indian economy, performance and policies. Performance and policies by Uma Kapila. So she is lecturer in Delhi University, and this is for prescribed for BA third year, Indian economy, performance and policies. So this is a good book. But problem is that book is good but written for university exam. Okay, for Delhi University mainly. So almost I think 70% is relevant for your UPSC. Means 70% topics may be covered. Approximately 70-75% may be covered. But in none of the book you will find 100% topic. This is the problem. Other book which is very famous is Indian Economy. Name is Indian Economy by Dutt and Sundaram. But that is very bulky book. So I will not suggest you should go through that book. So Dutt and Sundaram and even Mishra Puri, they are very good books, but they are very bulky, and they are especially written for university perspective. That is very different. Okay, but this is less bulky book. Okay, so but Uma Kapila she has written one more book. Another book is also very famous book, that is Indian Economy Since Independence, but that is very bulky book, so that is not needed. In that book there is collection of articles from some prominent economists on specific issues. So that is not so important for especially GS point of view. So this you may go through. And as I told you, the books which are written for this UPSC exam, which are more relevant, they are not up to the mark. The most famous book is that of Tata McGraw-Hill, TMH book. And there are so many mistakes I wonder how person can actually write this book, or how that person can teach. So there are problems. Most of the books I have seen, whatever in market I have seen here in Delhi, they are substandard. This is one problem, and lot of mistakes are there, especially in that TMH book. So I think no need to go through that book. So that is why I told you the Vision's material will be much better as compared to those books, because Vision material, now remember one thing, material of any coaching institute, printing material cannot be comparable with the books. Okay, why? Because books are written by the authors who are renowned authors. Okay, and material is actually cannot match that quality. But that books, which are standard books, they are not written for UPSC exam. They are written for university exam or their perspective. So, but matter is more relevant. Okay, so if you compare the matter of any coaching, I'm not talking about Vision IS, I'm talking about any good coaching. So matter of coaching is more comparable to the books which are related with this exam. And certainly in economy, books are actually much substandard. So certainly relatively matter is much, much better. Okay, so I think instead of going through those TMH and various other books in market, I think printed material of Vision IS will be much better. Okay, but my suggestion is that all of these books are, if you want to study, you may study, but not needed. Okay, nothing will be needed. Just follow class notes and keep on adding current, updating with current. That is needed. Okay, because why I'm saying don't go through this, as far as NCERT is concerned, you know, once you will learn our class notes, you already will be knowing at least 3 times more than what is written here in this book. Because whatever topic we will discuss in much detail. Okay, so almost, for example, I will give you one illustration. In macroeconomics, okay, here in macroeconomics, there is a chapter on government budgeting. So here you will find what is budget, what are types of receipts and expenditures, types of budgetary deficits, only this one. But we have to go much beyond that. We have to see the trends of deficits, why deficits increase, what government did to reduce deficit, that is fiscal reform we will discuss, and what constraints were faced by government in reducing deficits. And not only that, we will discuss center-state financial relations, cooperative federalism, fiscal federalism. Okay, so means finance commission's recommendations, special category status, what issues are there right now. So we have to go in much beyond that. And taxes also are very important. They have not mentioned about taxes, but taxes like GST and various other direct tax reforms. Okay, similarly, there's a chapter on external sector, like external sector, you know, like balance of payment. So you will find only what is balance of payment. So balance of payment means account of a country with the rest of the world. How much money we receive from rest of the world and how much money we are paying to foreigners. So, but you will find only basics, current account, capital account, only this thing. But we have to go the practical aspect, कि what is BOP situation in India, and what parameters are there which reflect BOP situation, why situation improved or deteriorated, what policies were taken by government, and interrelation with other things like investment, exchange rate system, external debt, etc. So you will find only very basics. So whatever I will discuss in class, so you won't find even hardly 1/3 in this book. What the point? Similarly, like there is poverty, unemployment. So you hardly 1/3 you will find in this book. Whatever will already be written in your class notes. You can compare that. Acha, one more thing. If you learn class notes, so you must be knowing already whatever is written. At least 80% you must be knowing. Then you may go through that. It will be cakewalk for you. Just like a novel, you can go through this. Okay, if you will understand class notes and you have gone in much detail that topic. So if you go through hardly anything you find which you may not be knowing. Okay, similarly this book is good, but as I told you, orientation is that of university, and if you want to go through any competitive examination books, then much better will be the Vision's printed notes. Okay, and one fact, my observation is that those students who are not sincere, they keep on studying more and more books. They come to me, sir, suggest books, sir, suggest books, which book should I follow? Sir, I have bought this book, will it be okay or not? So, studying more books shows lack of commitment. Why it shows lack of commitment? If let us suppose you will, let's suppose you have attended classes. Okay, so you have two options. One is that you may go through that class notes, okay. But you have two options. One is to learn the class note thoroughly, revise them again and again. Or second option is that read the similar chapter from other book. So which is easier for students? Easier is that you may go through from other book. Okay, learning is difficult option. Why? Because for learning you have to be committed. You have to concentrate. You have to recollect again and again. So learning is slightly, demand more commitment from students. And usually students, in order to, they don't have so much commitment to learn, but they have to show that they are studying maybe 6 hours, 7 hours. So they have to pass the time. So they will take other book, go through one chapter, then pick up other book and go through one more chapter. And ultimately what will happen? They have some idea, but idea won't work. You should have a clarity. What is it? Why it is this? Got the point? So reading more books shows lack of commitment. And why students, they read more books? To make fool of themselves. Why? Because if they will not make fool of themselves, they will feel stress. For example, if a student will come here for civil services, will be attending classes and may not be studying maybe at least 4, 5 hours or 6 hours, so person will face stress or not? Certainly. To reduce that stress, person will show I am sincere. He will tell himself I am sincere, I am studying 3 hours, for 5 hours, 6 hours a day. So that is why students make fool. But just studying will help? No. There's a psychology, in psychology there's a research, Scaff-Robinson hypothesis. And as per that, it said that moderately similar items create confusion. It means that if you have attended one lecture here, and if you go through if you have just attended that, and if you go through the same chapter, same topic from other book, so will it help you? Yes or no? So answer is no. Rather, it will create more confusion. You will say, sir has taught here in this class, in like this, and in that book it is somewhat like that. So it will rather create confusion. And if let us suppose if you learn class notes, if you have understood the concept, and if you after learning revision that when in your mind, when you will go through second source, then it will provide you positive, it will lead to positive transfer. Then when you go through second source, you will not be dependent on language. You will see what is content there, how it is different or similar. If there is different, then you will see, okay, what is different. Okay, so rather it will help you to learn more, because you will revise your first notes and whatever addition you can add that point also. So just like I want to quote here Shiv Khera, so his quotation is very much relevant here. Winners don't do different things, they do things differently. Okay, so if you want to study second book, so don't study second book unless you have learned the first book. What the point? If you have learned the first book or first material, then go through second and third or fourth. But if you have not learned class notes or the basic book and you are studying second book, it shows lack of commitment. It will not help. It will help in reducing short-term anxiety, but not. It is actually by making fool of students, they make themselves fool and they reduce the short-term anxiety. But ultimate anxiety will remain until you will move in this your direction of your goal. Okay, so keep this thing in mind. Acha, one very good question. In economics, current is mostly about data. How deep in data we should go? So my first suggestion is that never cram any data. Never cram any data. Not a single data. Got the point? But I will give you lot of data in unemployment, poverty, etc. I'll give you lot of data. But remember one thing, I will give you data just for analysis. You should know what is meaning of that data. GDP growth last year, do you know what was our GDP growth? I think when I ask this question, you know, hardly out of 100, 200 students, maybe one or two know or three people know, hardly out of 100, 200 students. Okay, why they don't know? Okay, what was GDP growth last year? You know, in economics, when we talk about data, the most common data, most commonly used data is GDP, you know, or GDP growth. And most of the students, they don't know. Why they don't know? Because, not because they have not studied that data. Everybody must have studied the GDP data. If you are reading newspaper, magazine, everywhere it is there. But they don't remember because they study lot of data, like they study the quarterly growth, they study the GDP growth of last month, the growth of that particular sector, the projection by this agency. Okay, so you know, that data is not relevant ke monthly, quarterly data, projection, etc. So because when students go through so much data, data is actually, you know, is not meaningful. So students are confused which data is important, which is relevant. So that is why what is important is not the what is GDP growth rate last year. You should know what is meaning of GDP growth. Has it increased or decreased in the last few years? And if it has declined, why decline? If it has increased, why increase? Okay, and if it has declined like in the last 2 years somewhat declined, so what government did? Like fiscal stimulus last year government did, and certainly after COVID further declined to negative, and what government did? So what is important here is that if you know the meaning of that, okay, what is meaning of GDP growth, and it is increasing, decreasing, why decreasing, then you know you will automatically remember data. Okay, so never put effort to remember data. If you make a meaning, okay, what is GDP growth of India, what is the average of world, it is high or low, in which direction it is moving, why it is moving, then if you will analyze, if you will make it meaningful, you will easily automatically remember. So I will give you a lot of data, but the perspective will be analysis. Okay, and remember one thing, data of only annual data, important data, you should analyze. Not every monthly data is not important, quarterly, monthly data or sector specific data in general is not important. Okay, so data, I think it is clear. To never bother about data, never cram data. Just analyze important data, automatically you will remember. Okay, so other question is Rahul Srivastav, your question, what are the percentage of economics question in exam? In exam, you know, in prelims, normally 20 to 25 questions are there out of 100 in prelims. Okay, so about 20 to 25% questions you are expected to get from economy. Okay, and as I told you, okay, this year I think, you know, but some questions are on boundary of economics or maybe other areas also, like some intermingle with geography, like economic geography, even one question intermingle with history. Okay, although I have taught in economics like Hundi they have asked. So Hundi is a kind of, one firm will buy raw material from other firm. So it will write on piece of paper, okay, I have bought this, I will pay this on this year. That is actually Hundi. It's a kind of commercial bill. So I have taught in detail, but they have asked in Harsha's period, post Harsha's period, what is Hundi. But actually Hundi is Hundi. So that is from economy, but history teacher might add in history. Just some are related with currents, which are related with economy. So we can say at least 20 or 25, 20 to 25 average. If you see the average of the last 5 or 10 years, then this. And as I told you, okay, out of those 23, 24 questions at the most this year, which were there, so 15 were there from class notes only, directly from class notes. Okay, so in prelims, the weightage is 20 to 25%. This is very high of one subject. And second thing is that in mains, it is, you know, in GS3, there is economy, and there is science and tech and this internal security. So out of that, usually 9 questions or sometime 10, 9 or 10 questions are there, means almost half paper of that. Okay, 45, 50% paper that. And apart from that, normally 2 questions are from in paper 2 also, because in paper 2 international organizations are there, education, health topics are also there, some governance topics, so there is some intermingling in governance also. So about 2 or 3 questions you will get from this economy in paper 2 also, 2 or 3 questions. 2 usually are there, sometime 3. In GS 3, like this year, means out of 20 you can get 9 or 10 questions. So this is the weightage. And but remember one thing, you have to make a balance in all subject. If you think you can qualify UPSC just on the basis of economics or just 2 or 3 subjects, it is not possible. You have to make a balance in all subjects, because there are always diminishing returns. Whatever effort you will put, you cannot do 80-90% in any subject. So balance is very important. Okay, other is now next question. Arun Arunva Chakravarti, should one study the previous economic survey? No, first of all, don't study economic survey. You may go through summary of economic survey. So, but you should wait, please. Don't study economic survey now. Just wait for the classes. At least 70-80% syllabus we cover. Only then, or let us wait for some more time, and then you can study summary of economic survey. Of the the economic survey which will be presented in January this next year, means on economic survey is presented normally on 31st January and it will be published now on 31st January 2021, just one day before budget. Budget is presented on 1st February. So I think that summary you can go through. Achha, if you want to study previous summary, then volume 1 summary you can go through. Okay, not 2. Volume 1 summary. Why? Because volume 1 is related with the concepts and research and the suggestions. So that is more important from mains point of view. Volume 1. Volume 2 is related with data and analysis of data, but that data will change. So it is better to volume 2 of current year only will be relevant. But volume 1 means the theory on specific issues may be relevant. Just like in this year's economic survey, volume 1, there was a chapter on privatization. So there may be a question on privatization. Okay, so this is by that time, by next year, it may be last year's economic survey. Okay, and there is in this year's economic survey there is a chapter on estimation of issues with estimation of national income. So there may be a question after next year or next to next year on estimation of national income. In last year's economic survey there was a chapter on MSMEs, small companies, micro, small and medium enterprises, and I think this is very much expected. Maybe in this year's mains or next year's mains there is maybe question on MSMEs. Okay, why? Because government is focusing much on MSMEs, especially in post-COVID, response. So a lot of schemes are related with MSMEs, so they may ask the question from MSMEs. But some important content you can take from last year's 2019's economic survey of volume 1. So I think I repeat once more, please wait. First of all, wait for the syllabus to end almost. Okay, one thing. Second thing, and by that time your syllabus will be over. Then you can go through economic survey of next year, both volumes summary. Summary will be, I think, about 60, 70 pages or 80 pages at the most. So you can go through that summary. That is available on various websites, and vision summary is also good. So you can go through that. Okay, and if you want, after that, if you want to go previous, then volume 1 maybe 1 or 2 years previous you can go through. And maybe you have to be selective, like see what topics are important from mains point of view. Selected topics only, not all topics. There are normally 10, 11 chapters are there in volume 1. So out of 10, maybe 3, 4 chapters you may go through. Okay, in the last 2 or 3 years. But you cannot do it now. You will be able to identify relevant, irrelevant after you know the basics of a subject. Once you will attend classes and see the questions of mains and syllabus and questions, only then you will know. So that is why I am saying don't study now, wait for the classes. First learn class notes. And one more point I want to add, there is nothing better than class notes. Why? 3 reasons are there. First reason is that class notes are relevant. This is very important thing in UPSC. All of you must be knowing. Okay, because we have limited time, so we have to be very selective. And we are doing research on that. Every year what I have taught, so shall I continue to teach this topic if question is not asked? Or these are more important areas, now shall I add this? So we are doing this thing to relevant first of all, which is very important. Second thing is that it is concise. How much I can dictate here in class? I have limited time. Okay. And third thing is that it is easiest to learn because you have understood in the class. Once you have understood, it is learned itself. You have written on your own. And you had the option to clear your doubt if you fail to understand. This is my responsibility to make you understand. Okay, so that is why class notes are always best. So unless you learn class notes in any subject, I think there is no use to study book before that. Okay, so this is very important thing because easy and concise also. Okay. Other Sachin Kumar Meena, your question: what is importance of government schemes in pre and means? Yes, government schemes are important, and that is not much technical. So in government schemes, you have to do some homework. Okay, like in government schemes, you may divide ministry wise or sector wise. Like sector wise, like type of scheme, like some are for rural development. Okay, some are for urban development. Some are for skill development. Some are for employment generation. Okay, some are actually for education, for health. So you should classify in various categories, and in every category there will be three, four, five schemes will be there, and depending on importance, just jot down notes. Okay, so either the sector wise like rural, urban, etc., or by ministry wise you can divide, and just make notes. So you have to put some effort in that. And in every, like in education, health, any area, there will be 4, 5 schemes, 6 schemes will be there. So you should have broad idea what, and you can see the questions of previous year. You will know idea what kind of questions are asked. Okay, so you have to put effort in that. So it is not technical. The only thing is that you have to put effort. Rishabh Mishra, your question. Should we be worried about any private company growth or data, because many current affairs channel follow those news? That is why I'm asking. Okay, should we be worried about any private company growth or data? I could not understand about private company growth or data, because many current affairs channel follow these news. In first of all, remember one thing in news, very few news are relevant for your purpose. In newspaper also, it should be clear that at least 80 to 90% news are irrelevant for UPSC exam. So for that purpose, you should see the syllabus. Syllabus of mains is very, very important. You should rather stick in your actually stable on your study desk syllabus of mains, and keep on just see the questions of previous years. Then you'll get orientation. So in newspapers, which news is not relevant? First of all, whenever you study newspaper, so one first thing is that one newspaper I told you, and certainly you need not require any specific newspaper for economy. Like you need not require Economic Times or Business Standard is not needed at all. Just whatever newspaper you are going through, Hindu or Indian Express or Times of India, whichever you want, go through one newspaper sufficient. At this moment, I think hardly matters. Okay, and just business page of that newspaper, business or economy page, is more than sufficient of any newspaper. And in that, which news is not at all important? First of all, company specific news are not at all important until unless there is a major issue. Okay, first thing, company specific news not important. Second is second thing is that data, I told you regarding data. So data in general is not important, especially the quarterly, monthly projections, and most of the newspaper daily they report monthly, quarterly data, but that is not important. Okay. Apart from that, some variables change on daily basis. Census goes up and down, rupee appreciate, depreciate on daily basis. So hardly you have to see this until there is a major change actually. Okay, or company's profit increase this. So any news related with any company, until there is a major takeover or major issue, that is not important. So which news is important? Only news which actually first of all has some long-term implications, especially social implications. Okay, that is important. Like maybe government may announce a new policy. Okay, or there may be a article by an economist on Indian economy or any particular important issue like agricultural distress. Okay, just I'm giving example or relating to MSMEs, what should be done. So those articles are relevant on important issues which are mentioned in your syllabus like agriculture, MSMEs, industrial sector in general. Okay, so infrastructure or in general industry. Apart from that, in general, what is more important? Like RBI's guideline, RBI keep on giving a lot of guidelines, but technical guidelines are not important for you. Those guidelines which have something to do with people in general. So that is important. Got the point? So not all schemes or everything, which are those things which have implication, long-term implications on general public, especially social implications. Those news are important. Any government policy, article, analysis of the any economic situation, those are relevant. Okay, so this is about current and books. Okay, so now I'll just give you, before initiating, just give you the list of topics which we will cover. So I will start with basic concept, that is economic growth and development. So in this chapter, I will discuss what is economic growth, what is economic development, what is inclusive growth, how they are related, different human development, human resource development, and how we measure economic development like various indices, human development index, hunger index, poverty indices, happiness index, etc. And factors which affect development. So growth and development concept. Second, I will discuss Indian economy. So features of Indian economy and structural transformation in India, economic reforms in 1991 and the implication of that, and socio-economic issues also. So 4 issues I will discuss in this. Three more issues. One is this, and poverty, unemployment and inequalities. So especially unemployment is very important. So I will discuss in detail what is unemployment. So in detail I will discuss the trend, etc., measurement issues, government policies, jobless growth, etc., formalization, informalization of labor force. Okay, third is micro economic concepts. So I told you there are 2 branches of economics, microeconomics and macroeconomics. So micro and macro. So I told you micro is not relevant for UPSC exam, but in this chapter I will discuss some basic concepts from microeconomics because there will be 2 reasons why I will discuss microeconomic concepts like demand, supply, etc. One thing is that some basic concepts are important to understand macroeconomics, like demand, supply. Without understanding demand and supply, it will be difficult to analyze economic situation of country also. Okay, one thing is this. Second, sometime in prelims there may be a question from terms, some important terms we will discuss, basic terms, and the main emphasis will be only on application of this. Okay, what is use of demand and supply? With the help of demand and supply, I will give you applications in agriculture sector, why prices are volatile in agriculture, and what is use of MSP, why it is needed. So with the help of demand and supply curve, I will explain how markets work and why markets are better than government intervention. So I will give you rationale or justification for economic reforms with the help of the demand and supply curves. So I will connect the theory with the application here in this chapter. Okay, basic concepts and what is application of that, why markets are better than government intervention. Okay, I'm giving you a recap giving you the outline what we will discuss. Achha, some more question. How to make current affairs notes for economics? So in this you should remember, whenever you make note of any area, to never try to copy language. So just try to go through that article, understand that article, and once you've understood, underline important topics. And once you have underlined, then organize, okay, what are topics? While underlining, you will organize, and then just jot down those important points. Okay, but I think initially focus on more on class notes. Okay, later you can focus on that. Okay, so just whenever you make notes of this, some students usually say, okay, sir, making notes takes means a very long time. If you are making notes from newspapers, I think most of you will agree it will take long time. But rather I say making notes won't take much time. Learning will take more time, because you cannot make notes without proper understanding. Okay, otherwise you can just copy everything. So there is no use of the copying everything. So you should go through article, try to understand what they have given, to find out what are the important points, what are main features. They are talking about a government policy, for example. So what are main features, what are implications, what issues are there, or some suggestions may be given. So you may divide that article in 2-3 parts, like some features of some scheme, some implications, or maybe some suggestions. So what are features? Maybe 3-4 features, some implications, maybe 1 or 2 or this. So you may just underline that and then jot down in your own words. Okay, so that is how you can make. But my suggestion is that initially you don't focus much on that. Focus on this. In later phase you should focus on that. Achha, one more suggestion. To be very frank, don't take newspaper seriously right now, especially in economy section, my section. Don't worry. If you don't understand, no problem. Don't worry. Got the point? So don't worry if you don't understand any article, no problem. Okay, just and go through just very superficially. Got the point? But whatever topic I have discussed here in the class, if there is any article from that topic, you must understand that article. You must understand whatever topic gradually we have discussed. You must understand the article. If you have any problem, show me that article. Put a question here. Okay, sir, I have understood, read this article and I have failed to understand this thing. Got the point? So approach will be that initially don't take any pain. If you don't understand, no problem. If you don't know FDI, meaning of FDI, how would you understand the article of FDI? Got the point? If you don't know ABC of any particular topic, so how would you understand the analysis of that particular topic? So don't worry, take it lightly. And whatever topic we will cover here, then you must understand article relating to that topic. If you have any doubt, you may share that article with me. Okay, now one more question. Piyusha Khajuria, your question, how relevant is to cover Niti Aayog agenda report? It is important to cover like economic survey. Yes, Niti Aayog reports are important, but you should add later, first understand the basic concept, basic issues, then you will be able to find out what is relevant in that Niti Aayog's report. Like earlier, in 2018, in the end of 2018, Niti Aayog means published a very important report, a strategy for new India at 75. That is very important report. They have given some status of industry, suggestions in agriculture, rural development, etc. So that is very important report of December 2018. But even if there is any report, recent report, you can see that report, but don't study such reports now. Please wait for the basics, from basics clear, see the syllabus and questions, and then accordingly just take out some points, actually make some notes from that report of those topics which are important for UPSC exam, especially focusing on mains exam, in making notes especially. Okay, so microeconomic concept. Then fourth is national income. So in this chapter, I will discuss national income and related topics like GDP, gross domestic product, GNP, gross national product, how we measure national income. 3 methods are there of estimating national income, like income method, production method, and expenditure method. And what issues are there in measurement. And government made changes in methodology in 2015 as per the norms of IMF. So what issues are there? What changes were made and what issues are there? Consistently, there is some doubt on estimating national income. So in this year's economic survey, they have mentioned ki, is India's GDP overestimated? Because some economists alleged that ki India's GDP is overestimated. So they have analyzed on this thing. So all these issues with national income, GDP, estimation of GDP and national income. Okay, other topic, then we will take up monetary system. Monetary system. So here I will discuss what is money. What is money supply? Money supply means M1, M2, M3, M4. And there is a concept of reserve money. Reserve money means M0. And money multiplier. What is money multiplier? What is relation between money supply and money multiplier? And then who regulate money supply? RBI. Then I will discuss Reserve Bank of India, functions of RBI, and RBI related with that is monetary policy. Monetary policy, like what is monetary policy, and instruments of monetary policy like CRR, SLR, repo rate, reverse repo rate, etc. And monetary policy reforms also. So various reforms were initiated by. So first basics, money supply, money multiplier, RBI, then monetary policy, and after that some reforms in monetary policy, like to draft monetary policy, government set up monetary policy committee. Plus government has made amendment in RBI Act, and government adopted monetary policy framework agreement. So under this, inflation targeting policy adopted. Why it is adopted, what are pros and cons. Okay, apart from that, in monetary policy, some unconventional measures were used to stimulate growth, like long-term repo rate and special open market operations. So some specific issues we'll discuss. This is called Operation Twist, kind of unconventional monetary policy measure, and some issues related with RBI, like autonomy of RBI. There was a lot of debate over autonomy, and reserves of RBI. Government set up Bimal Jalan committee last year, and on their suggestions, significant money transferred from RBI to government. So these issues with this. So okay, so as I told you, our approach will be first ABC and then the practical issues which are applied. Then I will discuss financial institutions. Financial institutions. Financial institutions like banks. Banks are also financial institutions. So I will discuss what are banks, types of banks like commercial banks, cooperative banks, regional rural banks. And recently RBI gave license to differentiate banks like payment banks, small finance banks. Other is like development finance institutions, DFI, like NABARD, SIDBI, okay, even Mudra Bank, and all others are NBFCs, non-banking financial companies. So non-banking financial companies. So NBFCs, like insurance companies, mutual funds, hedge funds, etc. So basics here I will discuss of finance: shares, bonds, types of say shares and types of bonds. Okay, types of companies, some basic concepts I will discuss relating to banking. Then next chapter will be banking. Acha, why I have separated this in this chapter? I will discuss basics. The types of banks only, types of shares, types of bonds, and other financial institutions. Here I will discuss practical aspect, like in banking, like some merger of banks, evolution of banks, merger, consolidation now. Okay, and then this reforms of banking sector from 91 Narsingh Committee till now. And we are implementing the international norms called Basel norms. From by this year we have implemented fully Basel 3 norms. Okay, and the main problem is in banking that default on bank loans increase now. So, and default on bank loan is called non-performing asset, NPA. If there is a default of more than 90 day, then that loan is called non-performing asset. So why NPAs increase, and government measures, etc. So banking practical issues with public sector banks, okay, and reform measures in that. Okay, so banking. And then related with banking, then financial inclusion. Financial inclusion. Financial inclusion means very simple, providing financial services to poor people, usually vulnerable people, like maybe through zero balance account, so that people may open account, and poor people may be given some micro insurance schemes, micro pension schemes, which may be subsidized by government. So various schemes we will discuss. Achha, relating to this is financial inclusion is related with cashless economy, because some measures are common with this cashless economy. Okay, because for cashless economy, for using banking, people should have bank account. So what is difference in that? What are measures? Because after demonetization, government focus much on cashless economy. Yes, certainly related with this is demonetization. To demonetization, in 2016, this currency notes means 500 and 1000 rupee note demonetized. So what is the relation between demonetization and cashless economy? Because mainly thrust was given to cashless economy. And why demonetization was done? Mainly to check black money. So here also black money I will discuss. So relation between black money and this, what is black money, how it is generated, how demonetization can check, to what extent that demonetization was effective to reduce black money. And one more thing related to black money is money laundering, converting black or illegal into white. So that is also related with internal security to money laundering. These are all interrelated topics. So what is why and how, what are interrelations between these topics? Okay, so clear. So financial inclusion is related with banking or cashless economy. Okay, so these topics. Then one more topic here I will discuss. Before this, one more topic I will insert in between, inflation also. Like here, rather 6 will be inflation. Okay, sequence is not very important, but I will take up in this sequence. So rather it will be 6, it will be 7th, it will be 8th, it will be 9th. So inflation is very important. Why? Because monetary policy is actually very much linked with inflation, because now, as I told you, okay, we have adopted a monetary policy framework agreement that is included in RBI Act. So we have adopted inflation targeting policy. So what are issues? So inflation is very important to understand monetary policy. So inflation, types of inflation, etc., measurement and issues with monetary policy. Okay, so inflation I left, and 10th chapter is actually financial markets. Financial markets. In this chapter, I will discuss like money market, capital market, mainly stock exchanges, how share prices are determined, how Sensex goes up and down, what does it indicate, some reforms in stock exchanges. Apart from that, I will discuss here, derivatives also. Derivative in the sense कि betting type of transactions. Government is itself promoting betting. If price of maybe share will go up, I'll pay you this much money, go down, I'll take this much money. And this betting is not only on shares prices, it is on commodities. Like government established in 2003, MCX, multi-commodity exchange. So there is pure betting. कि price of potato will go up, I'll pay you this money, go down, I'll take this money. So why government is promoting this kind of betting and speculation? So I will discuss use of that market, like commodities market, how it is helping farmers to reduce price fluctuation risk, how it is a marketing reform. Okay, and other some financial sector reforms here. So, these chapters are related with money and banking and finance. Okay, so here I will discuss basics of money supply. Inflation is related with this somewhat monetary policy. Financial institutions means banks, etc. And then banking, like issues, problems, reforms in banks, and this some topics related with like this related with the social aspects like financial inclusion, cashless economy, demonetization, black money, and financial markets. Finally, stock exchange, etc. Okay, then uh, 11th is taxation. Okay, so taxes like GST and other various tax form, government is reforming the entire taxation system now. Other topic is government budgeting. Actually, taxation is a part of government budgeting, but tax is very long. Lot of reforms were initiated, so especially after GST. So government budgeting, like I told you already, government budget and deficits and implications, center-state financial relations. Then other topic is industry, like industrial policy, new industrial policy of 1991, and after that Make in India and Startup India, Stand Up India, and some issues in that, and MSMEs and disinvestment, PSUs, disinvestment, issues in disinvestment. Okay, then other is economic planning, and reforms, like Planning Commission, Niti Aayog, the policy, strategy of planning, etc. Some initiatives of Niti Aayog. Okay, other is agriculture. So agriculture is very important. To whatever topics which are mentioned in your GS3, I will discuss all those topics like MSP, like agricultural marketing, issues with the APMCs, just like 3 recent bills which have been passed by Parliament. Apart from that, like buffer stocks, PDS system, National Food Security Act, food security, and e-technology in the aid of farmers, and technology missions, etc. Most of the topics I will discuss here. Then other is this investment models. These are related with infrastructure, like mainly public-private partnership. I will mainly discuss public-private partnership. So infrastructure will be taken up mainly in geography. Some aspects I will discuss, but major part will be taken up like roads, transportation, energy will be taken up in geography. So I will take up mainly public-private partnership, various models, issues, and government policy relating to infrastructure development. Now the other topics are related with the external sector. So then there I will discuss the 17, then balance of payments. Balance of payments. Balance of payment, I told you, it is a kind of account of a country with the rest of the world. Whatever money we receive from rest of the world through import, export, and anything, and what we pay. Okay, so balance of payments, and here balance of payment and foreign exchange rate also, and some related topics with this. Other is I will discuss convertibility. Convertibility and exchange rate systems. So convertibility means conversion of rupee into foreign currencies. So we don't have full convertibility. So there are some restrictions. If you want to go abroad or want to invest abroad, you cannot convert rupee into dollar without any limit. So we will discuss what issues are there in current account convertibility, capital account convertibility, Tarapur committee, etc. And types of exchange system, depreciation, appreciation, revaluation, devaluation, and issues in that. Other is foreign investment. Foreign investment like FDI and portfolio investment and issues. And last is foreign trade. Foreign trade. Although one foreign trade like trade policy, direction, composition of trade, globalization, regionalism, regional trade agreements like RCEP, etc. Some issues in that, so related to foreign trade. Although sometimes one more topic is related with economy, that is some international organizations are also studied like WTO, IMF, World Bank. So that is here will be taken up in IR section. Okay, I'll give you some basic idea in this related with trade, but that will be taken up in IR section. So because some intermingling may be there, so some topic may be taken up in this subject or other subject. Okay, like for example, infrastructure, mostly aspects will be taken up in geography. Some aspects I will discuss here. In agriculture also some minor topics will be taken up in geography, but major part I will take almost 80%, maybe 20% of this topic will be maybe taken up in geography, like for example cropping pattern, which is based on climate, soil, etc. So that will be taken up in this. Even irrigation to some extent it will be taken up in this geography. So other topics I will cover in here. So this is the coverage of syllabus what I will cover. So just a broad idea of what we are going to take up. Okay, so before taking up first module, that is economic growth and development, I will start with a very basic thing. What is economics? Any idea? So first just about economics, then I will come to first module. So what is economics? What we study? Can we say economics is the study of money? Is it correct to say that economics is the study of money? So obviously answer is no. Money will be very narrow. Economics deal with what? I think you must have idea with productive activities. So economy studies what? The production and distribution of goods and services. Okay, so I'll just basically discuss first, what is economics and micro, macro, basic terms. Then I'll come to first chapter. Okay, so what is economics? So you may mention simple definition of economics. To mention that it is the study of production, distribution and consumption of goods and services in a society. Production, distribution and consumption of goods and services in a society. Okay, so in simple words, it actually deals with productive activities, production, distribution and consumption of goods and services in a society. So in economics, what we study production, distribution and consumption of goods and services. Goods and services are produced, they are distributed, means sold, and they are consumed. So this process is studied in economics. Okay, I think very simple. Mainly in very short, we can say productive activities. And there is one definition by Adam Smith. Adam Smith defined economics as he defined that economics is science of wealth. So one very simple definition is science of wealth. Okay, so what is meaning of wealth here? Actually, wealth means same here, goods and services. Just like I told you, it deals with production and distribution of goods and services. So wealth here means goods and services. Because we produce goods and services means we create wealth. Okay, so wealth creation means production of goods and services. So economics is science of wealth, means mainly production process, means wealth creation is studied in economics. Now the question is that, do you think economics is really science? Yes or no? Can you give me answer of this? Is it science? Yes or no? So please you may respond. Yes or no? Just Y for yes and for no. Answer is no. Economics is not science. Actually, economics is social science. Okay, economics is social science. Okay, he has used the word science, but actually it is not science, it is social science. Why? Because it deals with human behavior and that is why it is social science. Okay, and even in India or in any country, when you do masters or graduation in economics, you will get a BA degree or MA degree, Master of Arts. Okay, or that is in usually Faculty of Social Sciences. Okay, so it is social science. Although in UK, the BSc degree is given in economics, but it hardly matters. Okay, so in most of the countries like in India, BA degree is given. So answer is here, you are wrong here. Nagar and Praveen Nagar and Pankaj Mishra, you have given yes answer. No, it is not science. It is actually social science. Okay, and since it is social science, so definitions in social sciences should be very rigid or flexible. This thing will make it clear. In science, definitions are flexible or rigid. In science, things are define in exact precision. They are very clear cut and rigid. But in social sciences, things are somewhat flexible. So economics are actually social science. So definitions of economics are very flexible. I'll give you one idea. Like you might have heard of this a closed economy. What is a closed economy? If you see the definition of closed economy, it is written कि economy which does not has any economic relation with rest of the world. No import, no export, no trade, nothing. That is called closed economy. Clear? Theoretically. But practically, if a country may have less trade, less investment, still that may be called closed economy. Got the point? So theoretical definition is that no economic relations with the rest of the world, and practically if a country will do less trade investment from abroad, means less economic relation, still we call it closed economy. It means that since economics is social science, that is why practically definitions are used in more flexible manner. For example, like it is written in books India was a closed economy in pre-reform era. Pre-reform is before 91. Because whenever we talk about Indian economy, we divide in two phases, from independence till 91 and after 91. So before 91 it was pre-reform, and after 91 post-reform era, because we liberalized the policies in 1991. Okay, so it is even one student have asked me, actually I gave a definition, theoretical definition, कि closed economy which does not has any economic relation with the rest of the world. And one student asked me, sir, you gave me this definition, कि economy which does not has any economic relation with the rest of the world. So I said, yes, I give you this definition. You can check in any economics dictionary. So he said, but sir, it is not correct. I asked him why. He said, sir, in NCERT, it was mentioned that Indian economy was a closed economy. And there was some import export was also there. It was less. So I told him, I give you the theoretical definition. In books you will find theoretical definition. Practically, even if economic relation will be less, it may be called closed economy. I think what the point here? One more illustration if you have any doubt. We signed free trade agreement. You might have heard the name free trade agreement, FTA. Okay, so definition, if you see the definition of FTA, it is written no restriction on trade. Okay, FTA means if two or more countries sign a free trade agreement, so then the countries, they eliminate trade barriers or no restriction on trade. It is written in theory, but is it possible practically? If you see any FTA, so countries don't eliminate all trade restrictions, they reduce restrictions so that trade should increase. So theoretical definitions are somewhat different, practical are somewhat flexible. Okay, so this is one proof why economics is social science. Okay, and this is a fact. There is no doubt about that. So, but anyhow, he has given the definition as science of wealth. So clear, I repeat once more, theoretical definitions are more rigid, but practically they are used in flexible manner. Okay, so I'll give you a lot of such illustrations, you will understand this practically when we will move forward. Now, who is Adam Smith? Now the question is that who is Adam Smith? Adam Smith is regarded as father of economics. Father of economics. So Adam Smith is regarded as father of economics, although in some books it is mentioned modern economics. So it may be economics or modern economics. You may consider interchangeably. So father of economics or modern economics. Why he is regarded as father of economics? So in 1776 he wrote a book. So he wrote a book, which book? Wealth of Nations. He wrote a book, Wealth of Nations. So Wealth of Nations, although full name was too long, full name was An Inquiry into the Nature. An Inquiry into the Nature and the Causes of Wealth of Nations. Okay, so but usually called Wealth of Nations. So full name is An Inquiry into the Nature and the Causes of Wealth of Nations. So he wrote this book, but how? By writing one book, how he became father of economics? So what is reason for this? Actually, can we say this was the first book written on economics? Yes or no? So some of you may say no. So when I ask this question, why no? So which was first book if this was not the first book? Some students reply me that Arthashastra was written before this by Chanakya, by Kautilya. Okay, so yes, it is correct. So Arthashastra was written Chanakya before this. But remember one thing, at that time, economics was not a subject, and Arthashastra, the name of the book was Arthashastra, but that subject matter was not economy as such. It should be clear. The Arthashastra subject matter was actually polity. It was written on in the on actually polity and statecraft. It was not as such on economy. It deals with some economic policy also, but mainly it was on polity. Okay, so Arthashastra was not a subject at that time. So answer is that why he is father of economics, because this was the first book which was systematic book which was written on economics, one thing. And why he is called father, because this book created a new subject which is called economics now. Got the point? Before this year there was no subject called economics. There was no subject. So this book created a new subject which is called economics, and this book separated economics from that subject which is mother of all subjects. Got the point? Earlier economics was not a subject, like demand, supply, etc. were studied in that subject which is mother of all subjects. So from which subject is mother of all subjects? Any idea? Which subject is mother of all subjects? Can you guess, or can you give me name of that subject which is mother of all subjects? All subjects have gradually emanated from that subject. That subject is which one? Political science, history, geography, English, philosophy. Which subject? The answer is philosophy. So philosophy is mother of all subjects. All subjects have gradually emanated from philosophy. Ajab, what we study in philosophy? You know, if you see the topics of philosophy, you will find the topics like some philosophers actually views on God. Okay, what is God? Soul is there or not? Knowledge, what is knowledge? What is reality? What is reality, actually reality? What is idealism? So these things are studied in philosophy. I just give you name of some topics. So in more simple words, what is common in these topics like God, soul, reality, idealism, happiness? What are these things? Actually, these are very subjective things. You can neither prove them nor you can disprove. But if somebody may prove that God is there or not, or soul is there or not, then that will no longer remain in philosophy. That will be shifted to relevant discipline. So only those things are studied in philosophy which are not proved beyond doubt. So by writing this book, he gave specific principles of economics. He gave some proof of some basic laws of economics. That is why economics shifted from philosophy and economics became a new subject. That is why he is called father of economics. I think clear? Okay. So some of you have given wrong answers. Adish Jain, you have given answer mathematics, and Piyush, you have written social science. No. Philosophy is mother of all subjects. So got the point? He actually gave some basic, this book gave some basic laws of economics, gave some proof of that, reasonably proved that those laws. So that is why it separated economics from philosophy. So a new subject was born by this book. So he gave birth to a new subject. That is why he is called father of economics. Clear? One more thing which will make it more clear. Like if you do research, like PhD, if you do PhD in economics or history or geography, so which degree you will get? PhD in history. Will you get PhD, the degree of Doctor of History or Doctor of Philosophy? You know, you may do PhD in physics. You will not get Doctor of Physics degree. You will get Doctor of Philosophy. So why? So why a Doctor of Philosophy degree is given? Why Doctor of Philosophy in PhD? Reason is that what people do in PhD, people do research. They start with a hypothesis and they will check that hypothesis whether it is true or not. Got the point? So if let us suppose you are doing PhD in physics, you are actually studying any natural phenomena, so you are checking your hypothesis. So what you are doing? You are not in the domain of physics, you are in the domain of philosophy. You are speculating only. Got the point? Until unless your hypothesis is proved beyond doubt and accepted by the experts of that subject physics, it will not become part of physics. It will be a philosophy related to physics. So that is why PhD in any subject is actually in the domain of philosophy. That is why PhD degree is given. Okay, this is just a reason why PhD degree is given. So I think you must have understood this. Okay, so this is just Sachin Kumar has given correct answer, philosophy. Okay, so philosophy means he separated economics from philosophy. So he created a new subject. So that is why he is the father of economics. He gave a birth. He gave birth to a new subject. So, but anyhow, definition he have not used the correct word. It is not science. Technically, it is social science. Okay. Now this is meaning of economics means simply production and distribution strategy. Now what is core concern of economics? What is main concern? What is the main matter of subject matter of study in economics? When we produce good, the main concern is resources are there, to resource allocation, how to allocate resource, how to use resources. Resources are actually limited or unlimited. So main focus of economics is resource allocation, because resources means productive resources here. Productive resources means like we have natural resources, we have some man-made resources like machinery, factory, we have human beings also, they are also resources, labor force is a resource, land and other things, these are all resources. And when we produce something like, so do we need some resources or not? For example, we produce this marker. So did we need resources? We needed this plastic, we needed actually various inputs, we need machine, we need actually means labor, etc. So we need resources for producing anything. Okay, so what do you think? Resources are limited or unlimited? So main focus, of economics is on resource allocation. So resources are limited or unlimited? Resource allocation means ki use of resources, ki how we shall allocate, how much resource we shall allocate for production of pen or rice or wheat or car, etc. So resource allocation is the main concern of economics. So resources are limited or unlimited. So remember one thing, these words are relative or limited or unlimited or more or less, they are always relative. Okay, for example, if I draw a line, shall I ask you ki it is long or short? So this is question is not means correct here, long or short, because long or short is relative only. Okay, if you say it is short, I'll say no, it is too long. As compared to the small line, it is too long. Okay, and if I make a bigger line, so we can say it is too short. So short or long or more or less is always relative. Okay, so resources are limited or unlimited. So obviously in relation to what? They are scarce, they are limited in relation to our wants, because we want more and more. Human beings are by nature, they are greedy. We want more and more. So in relation to our want, our desire or demand, they are limited, they are scarce. Since resources are limited, got the point? Why they are limited? In relation to our demand, because we want more and more of everything. Okay, so this is the reason that human beings are more greedy in general. So that is the reason that resources are limited in that context. Now since resources are limited, and each one resource may be put to alternative uses or not, like plastic, we can make pen, we can make chairs, we can make a lot of other things with plastic. So if we use plastic for one use, do we have to forego that in other uses? Obviously yes. So main focus of economics is that how whatever limited resources we have, how we shall use those resources means, and for producing any good we need resource. So if we want to produce more, we have to allocate more resources. So main concern of economics is that how we shall use our limited resources, and more resource allocated for something, we more of something to produce. So main objective of economics is to make optimal use or proper use of our scarce resources. Clear? This is the core concern of economics, optimal use or proper use of resources. Achha, what is meaning of optimal? So which one do you think is optimal use? The resource use which will maximize which one? I'll give you options. Which one do you think is optimal or best use? So optimal use means resource which will maximize which thing? A option, maximize productivity. B option, which will maximize production. Productivity, and this is production. And third thing is welfare or social welfare. So maximize productivity or maximize production or maximize welfare. Out of three options, okay. So which one is most appropriate here? Which one do you think is optimal allocation of resources? So please respond to this. Which one? Ashish, you have asked the difference between economics and economy. Yes, I'm coming to that. Economics and economy. So you may respond to this. So remember one thing, answer is here, welfare. These are means only. Ultimate objective is to enhance well-being of people. तो ultimate focus on well-being and technically material well-being. So resource allocation will be optimal when we produce those goods and services which will maximize welfare of people, means human material well-being. We shall produce those goods and services which will give maximum satisfaction to people, which will enhance well-being of people. Okay, so you may write down the simple another definition of economics. So mention that it is concerned with another definition of economics. So it is concerned with the optimal allocation of scarce resources. Optimal allocation of scarce resources. It is concerned with the optimal allocation of scarce resources to maximize human welfare. To maximize human welfare. And mainly which welfare? Material welfare, material well-being or human material well-being. So either human welfare or human material well-being. Okay, so what is economics? Economics is concerned with the optimal allocation of scarce resources to maximize human welfare or human material well-being. To focus on which goods and services we shall produce and provide to people so that well-being should be maximized. So that is actually the core concern of economics. And this is also called resource allocation, is also called central problem of an economy. Means the core problem. This is the central problem of an economy. Every economy has to take decision on this. The core issue is this. Okay, resources are limited, how we shall allocate our resources. Achha, in this Vikas has given correct answer, welfare. Okay, but all of welfare, these are also means, but ultimate objective is enhancing human well-being actually. So producing goods is a means only. Ultimate objective is to enhance well-being of people. Now one more question from you people, just think over this. Just assume that, imaginary world, there could be unlimited resources. Unlimited resources, everything could be unlimited. Did we needed economization or study of economics then? So what do you think? Answer is yes or no? Just write on your copy itself. If I say if there may be unlimited resources, then did we needed economization or study of economics? Yes or no? The answer is no. We need not require economics. If we could have unlimited resources, then we need not require economics. Economics will be irrelevant subject then. What the point? Why? Because we would have produced everything in unlimited quantity. We could have produced food and houses, cars, everything in unlimited quantity. Then why need to economize? Why need to make optimal use? So why we study economics? Because of scarcity. Had there been no scarcity, no actually need for optimization. Okay, just like I give you one corollary. I give you one suggestion: don't devote much time on current now, especially in the initial few months. Why I said don't study much time? I said don't study more newspapers. The reason is that you have only 24 hours. Got the point? If I say you may study 6 hours current, so when would you study your class notes? When will you study your basics? The problem is that if let us suppose if you do anything, devote much time to anything, so it will compromise other thing. Let's suppose if you start studying maybe 16 hours a day, so you will not have much time for other things like even for sleeping. What the point? So if you devote much time, you have only 24 hours. This is the problem. We have 24 hours in a day. That is why we have to make optimal use. If just assume that you might have unlimited hours in a day, you could have done anything. In one day, you could have studied hundreds of hours. In one day itself, you could have prepared entire preparation could have done in one day only if there could be unlimited hours. But problem is that it is not possible. This is the point. So resources are limited. That is why economics is needed. Some economists had defined economics on the basis of scarcity only. There are some lot of scarcity definitions. So one definition is that it is science of decision making in the presence of scarcity. Okay, so it deals with decision making or science of decision making in the presence of scarcity. So economics is studied because of scarcity. Okay, I will discuss in chapter 3 with the help of demand and supply how resources are allocated. Okay, so I'll give you illustration of this, how exactly demand and supply and government allocate resources. The core concern of economics, and it is also called central problem of an economy. Okay, in this answer was mixed actually. So Bhupesh, you have given correct answer, and other people have given wrong answer. I think Bhupesh and Palak has also given correct answer. Okay, anyway, so this is the meaning of economics. The core concern of economics is what? Resource allocation. Okay, and what is difference in economics and economy. Okay, so Ashish, your question, economics and economy. Can anybody can give me suggestion in one word? What is different? To the point, one word. Okay, what is difference in economics and economy? Okay, so try to give me suggestion in one word. What is economics and economy? Can you think? Like we have discussed Indian economy. Our syllabus is Indian economy. Okay, sometimes we say economy of our state. So very simple. What is difference? What is economy? So economy simply means when we talk about economic activities in the context of a given region, that is economy. To mention what is economy, to mention that economy, what is economy? Just mention ke economic activities in a given region. Okay, it refers to economic activities in a given region. So what is economy? Economy means economic activities in a given region. Economic activities means production and distribution of goods and services in a given region. Okay, when we study Indian economy means ke Indian economy is in India, total production of goods and services in India, production distribution of goods and services, so that is Indian economy. And if we say economy of a particular state, so production in that particular state, okay, or maybe a particular city. So when we talk about economic activities, that is productive activities in general, in context of a given region, that is economy. And economics is a subject which studies these production distribution aspect. So I think difference is clear between economics and economy. Okay, and there are two different important branches of economics. Okay, so write down this also. The one last point in this is microeconomics. I have told you already. Microeconomics and macroeconomics. Microeconomics and macroeconomics. So micro means what? Micro means small. You must be having idea. Micro means small and macro means large. So what we study in microeconomics, we cannot say small units. It should be micro means small, but does not mean that we study small units. We study one unit, individual units. So just write down simple definition of microeconomics also. To mention that it studies behavior of individual units. It studies behavior of individual economic units. Behavior of individual economic units. It studies behavior of individual economic units. Individual economic unit may be one economic unit, may be one firm, one person. Okay, example, write down examples. So you may mention examples: income of a person, income of a person means a person, comma, output of a firm, output of a firm means how much output production firm should do to maximize profit. Firm objective firm is to make profit. How much output will give maximum profit. Other is price of a product, price of a product, how firm should fix price, okay, etc. So these you can see here one unit studied: a person, a firm, a product. Okay, so this is micro. Now what is macro? I told you macro means large and it studies what? Economic system as a whole. So write down this definition of macroeconomics. To mention that it studies an economic system, an economic system as a whole. It studies an economic system as a whole, entire economy. So how we study entire economy? To mention that it takes into account overall aggregates. It takes into account overall aggregates and averages of an economy. It takes into account overall aggregates and averages of an economy. Overall aggregates and averages of an economy. Example: national income, example national income, comma GDP, gross domestic product, GDP, that is gross domestic product, price level, etc. Price level, etc. Okay, so what I have dictated, it takes into account, means studies an economic system, means economic system as a whole, entire economy as a whole. Okay, that is, it takes into account, I told you, aggregates of economy or averages of economy overall. Now you can see, and here study one unit, individual units are studied. Just like you can see here, just make a comparison here, income of a person. And when you add up income of all people of a country, all nationals of a country, you will get national income. Got the point? So this is actually, here we study income of one person, and when we add up income of all nationals of a country, we get national income. Clear? So can we say this is the aggregate? Okay, and output of one firm. And here we study what? We study GDP. So it means that when we add a value of all goods and services produced in a country, we get GDP, value of all goods and services produced. So this is production by one firm, and here value of production of all firms is GDP. So this is aggregate. So these two are aggregates. Aggregate means total. These are aggregates. Achha, other is this, here we study price of a product, and here we study price level. So price level is average prices. Price level to average prices. So this is the average. Okay, when we say price level, means average prices in the economy, so overall in the country. And what is inflation? Inflation means increase in average prices. So inflation means increase in average prices or increase in price level. So this is also macro, because we are talking about in terms of the entire economy. So either we study aggregates or averages. These are examples of aggregates and averages. So I think difference should be clear now. What is difference in microeconomics and macroeconomics? I repeat once more. Individual units are studied here, and here entire economic system. So maybe income of a person here, a person, a firm, a product, and here total income of all people, national income means production of one firm and value of production of all firm, GDP. Okay, these two aggregates, and here price of one product, and here average price means price level. Okay, so this is difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Okay, and there are two branches of economics I told you, and these there are two books in class 12th in NCERT, micro, macro I told you already. So what is relevant? Macro is relevant for your syllabus, but micro I will discuss in chapter 3, some basics. I told you why I will discuss. Okay, so you, and one more thing here, I just wanted to give you organization. Okay, now how to make your notes. I told you ki just after attending class, make synopsis. And synopsis should be, you should write least words, but information, organization is very important. Okay, so try to make things meaningful, interrelate. How, what is difference? That is why I have interrelated the examples of micro and macro. Okay, so if you make notes in this manner, so in one glance you will understand. Because remember one thing, long-term memory is well organized. And even you think, you know, just watch your thinking. You are thinking about one thing, then you will go to related things, may go to other things. Got the point? So we actually think in a logical manner, in an organized manner. So information is stored in our mind in terms of organization. So organization is very important. How they are related, what is relation, how they are similar, how they are different. And long-term memory is called semantic memory. Semantic means meaningful. So you will learn something if you will understand that, if you make thing meaningful. Okay. So I just give you illustration ke how you can make notes. Just write down this. This arrow shows ke okay, two branches directly, two important branches. These are branches of economics. This, so it means that make notes so that just in one glance you can understand rather than reading. Instead of writing there are two branches of economics. There is no point in writing this. So make this arrow, okay, two things. Okay, micro, you may underline this. Macro. Okay, microeconomics, macroeconomics, and here just you may in short write down behavior of individual units, or just individual units, and here economic system as a whole you can mention. Okay, just write down in short, make notes, and so that in one glance you will understand. So if you organize information in this manner, easily you can remember. So this is just one illustration ke how you can make notes, because if notes are written in language form, then you have to read while understanding, but note should be in one glance you will understand, so then instantly you can revise. Okay, Avinash, your question. Output of big companies like Amazon for suppose can be treated under micro? Yes. Now, yes, this is one good question. If I talk about a big unit, so is it micro or macro? So very simple answer, it is micro. Big or small, one unit, na? It is micro. Okay, so it may be any big, but one unit, then micro. But one more thing now, remember one thing, normally when we say aggregates, we mean macroeconomics. But if I ask you a question, total production of markers in India by all companies will be micro, macro, total production of markers in India. So answer will be micro. Why micro? Because we are talking about one product. So aggregates are not studied in micro, but may be studied in micro. Normally aggregates are studied in macro, but remember one thing, aggregates may be studied in micro. Got the point? If I say total production of marker in India, so we are talking about one product. Okay, so that is micro also. Okay, I will discuss market demand, etc. Then it will be clear more. So in general, aggregates are not studied here, but may be studied aggregate. But that aggregate should not pertain to entire economy. Okay, maybe if aggregate is related to one product, one firm, any one thing, then it will be micro. Okay, one company, when we are talking about any big number of any one company, then it is micro only. Other question, Pavan, your question, economy with respect to a single state is treated as a micro or macro? No, it is macro. State is macro. State or even city is a macroeconomics. We study overall all units in that particular area. So economy, when we use the word economy, you mean in a region. So that will be macro only. Got the point? We are talking about economic system in a region. So overall, it may be a state. So there are a lot of units in a state, or in a given region also, in a city also, lot of units may be there. So that is actually macro. Okay, so what is important? I think this is more than sufficient here. In general, aggregates are studied in macro, but just only one thing I wanted to explain here, aggregates may be studied in here, but normally not studied in micro. May be studied, but that aggregate will refer to a one unit only, then may be under micro. Okay, so this is about economics, economy, the basics. Now I'll start with the chapter 1. Okay, so now we will continue with module 1. So first module is on economic growth and development. So in this module, till now it was an introduction of economics, economy, syllabus, etc. Now I will come to the first module. Okay, economic. So here I will discuss 4 sections are there. In first section I will discuss the basic concepts. But remember one thing, I will discuss basic concept relating to growth, development, etc. Not all basic concept, because there could be very basic concept relating to banking, okay, or relating to any other sector. No, I will discuss basic concept relating to growth and development, inclusive growth, human development, like this. Okay, one thing. Second topic, I will discuss indicators of economic development. Indicators of economic development. I'm just giving you overview what I will discuss in this chapter, like human development index, hunger index. Okay, like example, human development index, global hunger index recently published, you might have seen in newspaper. Okay, happiness report, etc. So where we stand, how we measure the level of development, economic development, inclusive growth, and where we stand actually in the world. Then I will discuss determinants or factors affecting economic development. Here, what factors affect development? Mainly here I will discuss investment. Investment is very important. Like investment means establishing new factories, more production, more employment by more factories. And last section is some developmental goals at global level. So some goals have been fixed at global level. Socio-economic, relating to socio-economic development. Which goals are there? So UNO has fixed those goals, sustainable development goals. From 15 to 30, and before this sustainable development goal there were millennium development goals. So this is means some goals which are fixed at global level of development. Okay, and then Government of India's policy in achieving this briefly. So 4 sections I will discuss here. Growth and development. First of all, what is concept, meaning of growth, development, inclusive growth. Second, how we measure economic development of a country. So some indices I will discuss and where we stand in growth and development. Other is factors which affect development, like especially investment, and developmental goals like at global level. So concept related to growth and development. What is development, where we stand, what factors affect development, and what are some goals at global level. Okay, so this is the outline of this chapter. Achha, Nikhil, you have asked if we consider different countries as individual units. No, you cannot consider a country as individual unit. No, this is not correct. You cannot say you consider a country is a country or a region. You cannot consider individual unit. What is type of economics we should consider? The country means or a state or any given region where there are a lot of economic units are there. The economic unit means farms or mainly products or companies or people. These are economic units, or organizations. These are economic units. So if in a given area, if there are a lot of economic units, how you consider one unit? But anyway, you need not require to go in that detail. Don't worry. I'll give you in chapter 3, I'll give you some more illustrations. It will make it clear. But here definition is more than sufficient. Abhishek, your question. Acha, break. Okay, so I think we'll continue after break. So time after 5 minutes, we will continue. Okay, so this is the organization. We'll start with basic concept after break, after 5 minutes. Okay, so there are some doubts. Okay, so first is Vedant Oram, your doubt is that monopolistic industry comes under micro or macro. Actually, it is studied in micro, monopoly, perfect competition. In chapter 3, I will discuss monopoly, monopolistic competition, perfect competition, oligopoly. When few firms are there, it's called oligopoly. So I will discuss, don't worry in detail. Like railway or monorail in Mumbai is yes, it is monopoly. Railway means railway is one service. So that is monopoly of government. Like monorail in Mumbai, it will be monopoly of Reliance. It will be monopoly. So it is micro. Okay, industry like airlines with very few competitors. No, that actually is not. In microeconomics, we also study, oligopoly. That is oligopoly. So I will discuss in chapter 3. Don't worry. Okay, so in economics there is a difference between firm and industry. So firm is one company, manufacturing marker will be firm. For example, this is Camlin. So Camlin is one firm, and all companies manufacturing marker like Reynolds, Camlin, etc. that is called industry. So in microeconomics we study firm as well as industry. Both are studied in micro. So just like I will discuss demand of one person, and market demand means demand of all people for a given product. That is also micro. Okay. So, but don't worry, in chapter 3 it will be clear. Okay. Another question again, Deepak, all of you have question regarding to this, but we will be talking about all the companies making marker. So all companies making marker is a marker industry. Industry is we call it market overall. So that is also studied in microeconomics. So it is an industry. So farm as well as industry is studied in micro. Okay, although in macro also we study industry, but that is from different perspective, from policy, etc. So when we talk about one product, so it is micro as such. Okay, so don't worry, in further analysis it will be clear. But basic definition you should remember right now, but when you will practically we will discuss things, then these things will become clear. Okay, other Mudit Avasthi, your question. Total output of a single pen will come in micro. Yes, total output of one pen is one product micro. So that is, we may call pen industry. What about products subsidized by government? Example, fertilizer, urea. No, actually no, it may be possible because same thing may be studied from different perspective also. Okay, like subsidy, I will discuss in macro. Okay, what is policy of subsidy, and government is giving subsidy on various products. So perspective may be different. If you go in more detail, it will become more, dividing lines become somewhat blurred. Okay, so got the point here? Okay, if you know less of something, it is better. Once you go in detail, you know the dividing lines may sometime become blurred. So this is the problem. I give you one illustration, so it created confusion. But don't worry, when we see the practical applications, it will be clear. Especially in chapter 3, lot of your doubts will be clear because you will get practical illustration. So same thing perspective like industry I told you. I will discuss industry here I told you, but that is from policy in India overall for all industries. That is macro perspective. Make in India is from macro perspective. Okay, so I will discuss industry in this economy section from macro perspective, but there's a industry studied in micro also. In microeconomy book you will study industry. Perspective is different. In micro we study from one product perspective, and in macro we study industry from the perspective of economy, from the perspective of policy or a particular sector overall. Okay, so the dividing lines are somewhat blurred when you go in detail. Okay, so subsidy we will discuss from macro perspective, but of particular subsidy on a particular product could be studied in microeconomics also. Or Tushar Goel, can two or more firms counted as macro? No. Macro means if we talk about in a economy in a given region, in a given area, when we talk about overall all units in that given area, then it is macro. That area may be a country, that area may be a city, means a state or city, or maybe a region of that city. Okay, so a particular given region of a particular city could be there. So area does not mean it should be, there is no limit on area. It is social science. That is why there is no limit that area should be this much hectare or this much acres. So it should be more or less. So dividing lines are blurred here in this, and reason is that that is the reason. Again, I'll say it is social science. That is why these definitions, concepts are blurred. Okay, so in social sciences you have to apply more common sense, general, practical use. Okay, so now I'll come back to, all these questions are related with difference in this aggregate, but for GS point of view, I think you need not require to go in that detail, because sometime there may be some questions where I have to think whether macro or micro or macro. So even economists have to actually sometime the dividing line is so blurred that it may be counted in either this or that, means maybe both. Okay, but you need not require to go in that detail and not needed as such. As I told you, the definition which I told you, and in chapter 3, most of your doubts, when you get practical illustration and difference, you will understand this. Can we say that macroeconomics contain heterogeneous items? To some extent, not exactly heterogeneous, different type of item. Yes, it is almost heterogeneous to some extent, we can say. So Palak, you have said, means it is to some extent, we can say, different type of products, different types of individual economic units are studied. So more precisely, different economic entities are studied. Different types of economic entities, means different types of products or different types of economic entities are studied in macro in a given region overall. Means macro is in the context of an economy, and micro in the context of a product. Like when I say total production of marker in India, this is marker focus. And when I say a particular firm in India overall, in a given region in India, the business, then it is macro. Achha, one more question. To output of e-commerce companies come under micro? No. If we talk about, yes, it could be studied in both. I will also discuss e-commerce, like FDI in e-commerce. There is a lot of debate over that. So that I will discuss from macro perspective. Shall we allow in India or not? Got the point? If we study that government has allowed this e-commerce industries, foreign firms we have allowed, so is it desirable or not? What will be the positive impact on Indian economy, negative impact, like they are providing various variety of goods and services to people, they can deliver at your home, they are more convenient, they are giving discounts, so that they will improve our supply chain. So that I will discuss from macro perspective. But when we say e-commerce firm, a particular firm like Flipkart or overall all firms, e-commerce firm, that will be micro also. So same unit may be studied from macro perspective and from micro perspective. Both aspects are there. I will discuss this, but from macro perspective, like impact of e-commerce in India on people overall. Okay, on supply chain, what is impact? So I will discuss from macro perspective. But in microeconomics also, you may study any particular industry, maybe e-commerce industry. So problem is that same thing may be studied from both the perspectives. So that is the reason where you have some doubt. Okay, so now we'll start with this chapter. economic growth and development. So I repeat once more that 4 sections are there in this chapter. It is a relatively long chapter slightly. So basic concept first I will start, economic growth, economic development, inclusive growth, etc. And then how we measure economic indicators of economic development, how we measure economic development. We measure with various indices like Human Development Index, Global Hunger Index, happiness indices, etc. Okay, and I will discuss where we stand. Then third section, factors affecting economic development. Like which factors affect economic development, especially investment. It is also called capital formation. So some technicalities in this, and some theories from economic survey, some research from economic survey I will give you in this. And other is very simple topic, developmental goals. So at global level, UNO has fixed some goals called Sustainable Development Goals. You might have heard of this Sustainable Development Goals, earlier MDGs, Millennium Development Goals. So these topics we will discuss. So first, basic concepts. Okay, so first is now, organization is very important because it is beginning. That is why I am focusing much on this. Like this is the name of the subject. This is the name of the chapter, module. And this is first topic, basic concepts. Okay, so I have written in capital. So that it should be clear that this is one first section. Now in first section, I will discuss about 5 topics. So first is economic growth. So first write down economic growth. Okay, so in this, but here remember one thing, I will discuss basic concepts related with growth and development, not all basic concepts. Okay, so what is economic growth? I think very simple, most of you must have idea. Simply economic growth means increase in production in an economy. If production in India will increase, means GDP will increase, we can say it is a economic growth. Okay, so very simple, just write down the simple definition. So mention that it refers to the process of increase in production of goods and services. It refers to the process of increase in production of goods and services in an economy over a long period of time, Okay, process of increase in production of goods and services in an economy over a long period of time. That is economic growth. Okay, so what is economic growth? Increase in production of goods and services in an economy over a long period of time. So remember one thing here, I have what mentioned, production of goods and services in an economy. It's a macroeconomic concept. We talk about in a context of a given region or area or a country. Okay, and over a long period of time. So when we say growth, usually we say how much we produce this year as compared to last year. So usually we consider long term. But I told you economics is social science. So long term there is no specific definition. We cannot say usually more than 1 year is counted as long term, but it is not sure. In every context we cannot say more than 1 year is long term. Okay, so in general when we compare as a convention, growth of any particular time production in any 1 year, we compare with last year only. So usually it is supposed to be long period of time. So this is usually a long-term concept and macroeconomic concept. So increase in production is simply growth. Clear? And can we say increase in GDP means economic growth? Yes or no? So obviously yes, GDP is value of goods produced in a year. So whatever goods we produce this year, whatever we produce, we have produced more as compared to last year. That is our growth. Let's suppose last year we produced goods worth rupees 100, and this year we produce goods worth rupees 110. So growth is 10%. What the point? Last year our GDP, let us suppose, was rupees 100. Rupees 100 worth of goods and services we produce. A simple illustration in a given country, and next year the production increased to 110 or 110, let us suppose. So it means that growth is how much? So growth is 10%. Okay, so growth is estimated what is GDP of this year and how much we produce more or less next year. So that is, so increase in GDP. So write down another definition of economic growth. Okay, to mention that it refers to persistent increase in real GDP, or real per capita income. or real per capita income? So persistent increase in real GDP or real per capita income. So what is this? Actually increase in production means increase in GDP, same thing. So both definitions are same. Or per capita income. Now I have used the word real GDP. Okay, so real GDP means कि GDP is what? Value of goods produced in a country. So I will discuss this in detail in chapter 4. So you have to wait for that. But I'll give you, some of you may not have any idea, may have confusion. So that is why I'll give you very simple idea, difference. What is GDP and what is a real GDP? So for example, last year means 2019-20. Okay, now the current financial year is 2021. So in this year, just write down one example, quantity produced multiplied by price. So how much will be GDP? Okay, so write it down exactly so that you will understand this concept. Let us suppose last year we produced 100 goods. The quantity produced last year is 100 and price was 10 rupee. So how much will be our GDP last year? 1000. Okay, so 100 into 10, 1000 rupee. GDP is the value of goods produced in a year. Next year, in 2020-21, quantity production increased by 110 and price increased to 11. So how much will be GDP this year? 11 into 110, it will be 1210. Okay, so quantity 110, price 11. Okay, now how much is increase in this percentage increase? You know how to calculate percentage change? This number minus this number divided by base is this number. Okay, how you calculate percentage change? So percentage change, delta means change is what? 1210 minus 1000 divided by 1000 multiplied by 100. I think you must have idea about percentage. Okay, so it will be what? It will be 210 divided by 1000 multiplied by 100. So 2 zeros will cut here, 1010, so 21%. Okay, so 21%. So actually this number increased by 21%. Okay, so please write it, this thing. And one more very important suggestion from you people is that please write each and everything whatever I write. Okay, so because if you don't write, it will create confusion later. So make it sure that you should write everything, because illustrations seem to be very simple, and I'll be using this illustration further in further analysis also. Okay, so now one question from you people. Okay, what is, on the basis of common sense, pure common sense, what is actual growth here? In this year, 100 goods produced, price 10. Here 110 goods produced, price 11. So what is actual growth? What is real growth? Please give me answer in number. Actual growth is, can we say 21% or any other? Give me answer. What is actual growth? Just tell on the basis of common sense. I think most of you can tell this. So what is actual growth? Can we say 21%? So if you think 21%, write down 21. Otherwise, write any other number. If you have any idea, please give me answer of this question. Okay, and because I'm writing this illustration to make things simple. So even if you have understood here, so still you should write down. Why? Because when you will revise your notes, these will give you retrieval cues. In one glance you will understand, okay, this is the meaning. So they will give you retrieval cues, and just in one glance you will understand the concept. So try to write examples, that is very important. So here just I'm explaining the meaning of real in brief. So what is actual growth? Please respond to this. So actual growth is based on, I think most of you must be correct, most of you must have given 10%. Why? Because actual growth is based on production. Last year we produced 100 goods, now 110. So actual growth, real growth must be 10%. So what is real growth? Real GDP growth. So here real GDP growth is how much? 10%. And what is this growth 21? This is nominal call. It is money value only. Okay, so this is called nominal. So this is what? This is nominal growth. And real growth is this. Okay, so rather just we can mention real growth is 10 and nominal growth is 21%. Nominal means money value, because nominal includes increase in price as well as increase in production as well as price. Okay, so Reena Selvraj, you have given 10% correct answer. Aditya Jadhav 10%, Nikhil 10%, you are correct. And there is one very long 10 more products in real who gave wrote this answer just. Tushar, you have written a very long question. 10 more products is real growth. 21 is actual growth. No. Real growth is 10 only. Acha, different answers are there. Sachin, you have given real growth 10%. 21% is actual growth by Yugen. No, it is not actual. It is nominal. Money value increased by 21%. Actual production increased by 10%. Real is actual is 10%. Okay. So Pratik, you have given growth of quantity and price increased by 21%. So growth of quantity and price, yes, that is nominal. Money value increased by this. Okay, and then Palak, you have given answer, no, it will be 11% because there is change in price. Not 11, 10%. 100 to 110 is 10%. Base is this, 10 to 110, 10% growth. Okay, so other is Sneha also. Most of you have given 10%. Yes, I think most of you have understood this concept. So remember one thing, in this example, nominal value means money value increased by this. Because money value will increase because of increase in production as well as price, and real growth is based on the only actual production. So real growth, that is why real GDP. So I think it is clear. So real GDP I will discuss in much detail later in chapter 4. Please wait for some time for detail, but don't worry, after that everything will be crystal clear, because I am giving you brief idea, because I am assuming that you most of you don't have any background of economics, so that is why I have discussed, because it is just a kind of wastage of my time, because I have to repeat this in much detail. I have to go in much more detail of this. Okay, so that is why, but to satisfy those people who don't have any background, who some people have never heard of GDP, they are afraid with this name, so to overcome that fear, I am taking up. Okay, and real per capita income is average income. Okay, so got the point here. So real and per capita income is actually real national income divided by population. Okay, so what is real per capita income? So real per capita income will be real national income divided by population. So you know GDP and national income are very much related. So if GDP will increase, national income will increase, and real means that it is based on actual production, not based on prices. Okay, so I will discuss, I told you in detail, that when actual production will increase, means national income will increase, so divide by population, then real per capita income will increase. Okay, so real per capita income, don't worry, in detail I will discuss, because it will take time to go in detail actually. So in chapter 4, I will give you everything in detail of this. So in simple words, what is economic growth? Two definitions I gave you. One definition is that increase in production of goods and services in an economy, okay, over a long period of time. And second definition, persistent increase in, here I have used the word long period of time, and here I have used the word persistent increase in real GDP or real per capita income. Okay, so GDP, national income growth are almost similar. So if GDP is increasing, most probably national income will also increase and per capita income will also increase. Okay, so both definitions are almost similar. Okay, so this is the meaning of economic growth. Okay, now next term is economic development. Economic development. So what is economic development? Can we say it is same as economic growth? So obviously no, because it may be same, then I would not have written second concept. So it should be different. So it is broader or narrower? So on the basis of common sense, here it is growth and it is development. So obviously this is broader. Development means enhancing well-being of people here. So economic development means that we should increase production as well as we shall improve, enhance well-being of people. And how well-being will improve? Well, that along with growth, poverty should reduce, employment should be generated, and people will become well off. Okay. So mention this definition of economic development. To mention first the definition, it refers to that process of economic growth. It refers to that process of economic growth which is accompanied by improvement in well-being of people. That process of economic growth which is accompanied by improvement in well-being of people. So what is economic development? Means that process of growth, means production should increase in such a manner that well-being of people should improve. And well-being will improve means like poverty should reduce, people should get all people should get basic amenities, level of education, health should improve. That is economic development. Means here we will consider not only production only, but socio-economic aspect also, social aspects also. So I think it should be very simple, it's clear. So economic development. Okay, write down one more definition of economic development. So next definition is, it refers to progressive changes. It refers to progressive changes in socio-economic structure of an economy. In socio-economic structure of an economy. Progressive changes in socio-economic structure of an economy. So can we say both definitions are similar, first and second definition? First definition I said it refers to that process of economic growth which is accompanied by improvement in well-being of people. Okay, and here I'm saying progressive changes in socio-economic structure of economy. So can we say both definitions are similar or different, first and second definition? So means first definition is a process of growth which is accompanied by improvement in well-being of people. So both are obviously same or similar. Like what are social progressive changes in social structure of economy? Progressive change, social changes like reducing poverty. People or everybody should get access to basic amenities. Level of education, health, services should improve. Okay, so quality of life should improve. That is social, progressive social changes. And structural progressive structural changes in economy, economic changes like productivity should increase, production should increase, like people should shift from agriculture to more productive activities like industry and services. Okay, so this is a progressive structural changes in economic. So progressive socio-economic changes in economy is economic growth, development. Okay, so I think difference must be clear here. So simply here increase in production, and here increase in production as well as social welfare, means it is actually socio-economic concept. Okay, and both definitions are obviously similar. Progressive socio-economic changes in socio-economic structure, and here growth accompanied by improvement in well-being. Okay, so this is the basic difference between economic growth and economic development. Now I will discuss few more distinctions between economic growth and development. Now just make a table like economic growth and economic development. One important thing is that this distinction was made only in 1950s. Before 1950s, these two terms were used interchangeably. Okay, so in 1920, 30, 40, no distinction was made. Economic growth, economic development were used interchangeably in economic literature. So mainly from 1950s, this distinction was made by economists. So what is basic feature what I have dictated in definition? So I told you simply it means increase in production. If production will increase, that is economic growth. I have told you already. Increase in production is economic growth. And here, what is economic development? I told you production should increase. Plus what? Plus social welfare. Okay, this is the basic point which I gave you in definition. Clear? Increase in production plus social welfare. Okay, next thing is that economic growth. So what do you think it is, how many dimensions are there? One dimension, two, or many? How many dimensions are there? So obviously one dimension, that is growth, production of goods and services. So one dimension, that is production, and obviously production of what? Goods and services. So it is unidimensional concept. Unidimensional concept, and it has one dimension, that is production. Okay, now how many dimensions are there in this? One, two, or many? Okay, one or two, one and two, or we can say many. So answer is obviously many, not two, because you may not see one and two. Welfare itself is a multidimensional concept. It has a lot of dimension. Like welfare depend on what? Welfare depend on education, health, environment, psychological well-being. Lot of aspects are there. Social, cultural aspects are there which affect welfare. So it is actually multidimensional concept. So multi-dimensional concept. And what are dimensions here? Like one dimension is production, other dimension is health, other is education, environment, political liberty. Okay, so got the point here? Psychological well-being, cultural factors. Well-being depends on all of these factors: social factors, cultural factors, psychological factors. Clear? So multi-dimensional concept. And this is unidimensional concept. Only one dimension, that is production. Okay, now can we quantify economic growth? Can we measure this? Possible? Can we measure in numbers? Growth is this much percentage or something? So obviously we measure by GDP. We have quantified it. Actual growth is 10%. Last year 100 goods, now 110 goods this year. So growth is 10%. So it is a quantitative concept. Quantitative concept. Because we can quantify growth, we can measure exact growth, how much GDP increase, how much production increase. Because value of output is GDP, production in a country is GDP. So GDP, how much increase, we can estimate. So I think it is clear, quantitative. Now what about this? It is quantitative, qualitative, or both? So quantitative, qualitative, or both, or you may respond. Quantitative or qualitative or both? So it should be clear, answer is qualitative. Okay, to mention this, it is qualitative concept. Now some of you might have written both, but that is wrong. Why you have written both? You said it is quantitative, it is qualitative, to both. No, concept is one, overall. So overall, can you quantify development? Yes, you can quantify some dimensions, but concept is one, na? Got the point? So concept is qualitative. So it is not quantitative and qualitative both. No, actually what is quantitative? Some dimensions are quantitative, but overall concept is qualitative. So overall we cannot say कि development increased by 5% or 3%. Got the point? Or how much happy you are. Can you express in percentage कि you are happy by, as compared to yesterday, you are happier now by maybe 3% more or 5.3% more? We cannot express this thing कि how much happy you are. These are feelings. We cannot measure this कि how much you are happy or how much you are stressed or how much any kind of feeling. So economic development is actually a qualitative concept. Okay, like even in some books, like one book I read, they have mentioned it is both quantitative, qualitative. So it is wrong. Even in TMS book itself, actually it is written that there are a lot of mistakes, not one, at least I think 10 mistakes, more than 10 mistakes I have seen. Okay, so that is why there was a mistake, because the author might have thought in that this is quantitative, this is qualitative. But remember one thing, these are dimensions. Concept is one overall. So if some concept is qualitative, it may have some quantitative dimensions, but overall it cannot be quantified. Okay, so we will not use the word increase in development. We will say improvement in development. Got the point? In growth, we can say growth increased by this, because we cannot quantify this. So here we will use the word increase, decrease. And here we cannot use the word. He will say okay, improvement or deterioration. Got the point? So improvement in development we can say. Now next question is that can we say economic growth may be a ultimate objective of an economy? Yes or no? Could it be overall objective of economy? So obviously answer is no. It is not objective. It is a means to achieve an objective. So we want to produce more not for the sake of production, for enhancing well-being of people. To mention that it is just a means. Okay, it is just a means. For example, you are attending class. So is it your objective to attend class? No, it is a means. Your objective is to qualify the exam, to understand the concepts. So attending class is just a means. Objective is to qualify the exam. So means is production. Ultimate objective is to enhance well-being of people. Now, can we say it may be an objective in itself? Is it a end or objective? So obviously enhancing well-being could be objective. So mention that it is an end in itself. It is an end in itself. So end means objective. Okay, it is an objective in itself. Enhancing well-being of people should be objective. So got the point? So you should distinguish between means and objective. Here again I am giving you corollary. Like if you are attending classes, your objective is to qualify exam, and that is attending classes means or studying is means. So that is why I suggested you can never study, always learn, because if you are studying, you are not moving toward your goal. Once you learn, you understand things, you can solve questions, then you are moving toward your goal. Okay, so distinguish between means and end. So attending classes and studying is not an end, it is just a means. And if you are not learning, so you are not understanding, so it is actually you are not moving towards your goal. Okay, so this is just a means. Now other thing is which is easy to achieve, which is relatively easier. Growth is easier or development is easier? So obviously very easy question. This is very easy. We can achieve this without this also, yes or no? We can increase production. There may not be, well-being may not improve. So mention this thing, कि it can be achieved without economic development. It can be achieved without economic development. So it can be achieved without economic development. Okay, so it is easy to achieve, easier to achieve. Can we achieve this without economic development, without economic growth? Can we enhance well-being of people without an economy may be stagnant, production may not be increasing? Then obviously it is very difficult, or we can say, we cannot say impossible, but it's very difficult. Got the point? So you may mention that it cannot be achieved without economic growth. Sorry, it can seldom be achieved. Sorry, it can seldom be achieved. So we cannot say can never be achieved. It can seldom is very rare. It can seldom be achieved without economic development. It can seldom, SELDOM. It can seldom be achieved without economic development. Okay, seldom is rare. It can seldom be achieved without economic, growth. Oh, please repeat this. It can seldom be achieved without economic growth. I am talking about economic development. It can seldom is very rarely be achieved without economic growth. So without economic growth, it is difficult to achieve. But we can achieve economic growth without economic development. Okay, so I have mentioned this. It can be achieved without economic development, but it can seldom be achieved without economic growth. So it is difficult to achieve relatively. Okay, and finally, how to measure economic growth? How we measure economic growth? What are indicators? So can you guess what is indicator of this? To mention indicators, can we say real GDP? Real GDP? Yes or no? Achha, remember one thing, we never call GDP, because GDP when we say it may be money value also. So actual is not GDP here, actual is real GDP. Okay, so whenever we talk about growth, we always use the word real. We prefix the word real because normally when we say value of goods produced, that is actually includes inflation also. That is nominal GDP technically. So in growth, we always use the word real, or per capita income may be used, or real per capita income. In short, PCI, per capita income. P for per capita income. Simply national income upon population. So when GDP will increase means income will also increase, average income will also increase. So indicator is real GDP or real per capita income, but which is more commonly used. So more commonly used is practically GDP is more commonly used. Like what was economic growth of India last year? Anybody can give me answer of that question? Last year means in 2019-20. What was economic growth in India? Actually, this is only an illustration. Can anybody give me answer of that question? A number. What was growth rate of Indian economy last year in 1920? Okay, now this year is we are in this year because current financial year is 2020-21. It started on 1st April 2020 and will end on 31st March 2021. So in last year means this year, what was our economic growth? Can anybody give me data? How much is economic growth of India? Don't search on Google. Okay, so if you remember, give me data. Okay, because I told you okay, only few people remember that data. Okay, so but commonly GDP is used. For example, world economy, you know, in 2019 grew by 2.9%. Okay, so GDP growth of world economy was 2.9% only. So less than 3%. So we show with the help of growth, we show with the help of what? GDP in general, practically. But per capita income may be used. Now, what are indicators of this? What are indicators of this? So, you know, I told you already. Indicators are, you know, human development index. The most important is human development index. It is based on education, health, and standard of living. To economic development. Indicators are human development index, the most important, very important indicator. I told you earlier also, global hunger index, because if people are hungry, so obviously level of development will be low, means they are deprived from basic thing. Okay, and other gender indices like global gender gap index, world happiness report. We will discuss some indices separately. So indicators are these. So various indicators are used. So one by one in next section I will discuss indicators. So I will discuss this separately in next section. Now as I told you, hardly anybody can give me answer. So here you can see Taruna has given answer 4 to 5%. But it is correct, but it is not exact, 4 to 5%. What was the growth? Actually, as per latest estimate of CSO, it was 4.2%. On 31st May, that data was released. So 4.2% only. And you know, the same growth for this in economic survey, which was presented in January 2020, was given as 5%. That was the advanced estimate. So even estimates are revised several times. So current estimate is 4.2%. So Hemant Srivastav, you have written 6%. No, wrong. Achha, so yes, now I think two people have given correct answer. Ashwil, you have given 4.2, and Sneha, you have given 4.2% answer. Rahul also, 3 people. Okay, so anyhow, so economic growth rate was this. So how we estimate economic growth? On the basis of GDP. Our GDP means real GDP grew by 4.2%. It means that in this year, we produce 4.2% more goods as compared to previous year. Got the point? So in this year, we are talking about this year, we produce 4.2% more goods as compared to goods and services as compared to previous in actual term. Means without country considering inflation. Achha, there is doubt in 5th point. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th point is I think that it is easier to achieve. 5th point was that I think this was 6 point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5th point is this one. Indicators come means I think you want to ask this indicator. So indicator means which thing indicate growth, how we measure growth. Okay, these are actually indicators for how we measure growth. So economic growth is measured by real GDP, means actual increase in production, or real per capita income, actual average income of people. Okay, and economic development is measured by, because it is multi-dimensional concept. It has various dimensions like social, political, environmental, cultural. So we have to consider, we have to measure this by some indices which takes into account various aspects. So got the point here? The Human Development Index, which is based on education, health and standard of living. Okay, and this hunger index, which takes into account the lack of food or hunger. Okay, and lot of other indices are there which measure economic development. So this is the basic difference between economic growth and development. And these things I will discuss in detail. Now one question: without economic development, say poor education, the human resource cannot be skilled. Achha, without economic development, say education, the human resource cannot be skilled. Now, what will also hamper production? Yes, under this situation, how can we say that economic growth can be achieved without economic development? Okay, Ravi, you have asked this question. So, economics is social science. First of all, everything is interrelated, interdependent. Okay, so there are instances that there are growth happened, but economic development did not happen. In India also, if you see, I will give you data, we perform excellent on this parameter. We have been one of the fastest growing economy in the world in the last 30 years, and here our performance is not very satisfactory. Okay, I'll give you data. Then I'll give you a lot of indicators on this. In this section, I will give you indicators that will make it clear. So it is possible. Okay, growth may be there, development may not improve. But here we cannot perfectly measure this. It is subjective thing. We cannot quantify. Here measurement is actually subjective. Okay, so we cannot measure, but it is relatively easier to achieve. It's very simple. You can ask anybody, common sense basis also, you can realize it is much easy. Increasing production. Enhancing well-being of people is more difficult for people. Abhishek, one question is there, again explain real GDP. So real GDP means real GDP shows actual increase in production, and real GDP is based on actual production. It ignores prices. Here production 100 and now 110, so 10% growth. Actual real growth is 10%. Okay, and this is nominal value of goods produced. So this was nominal, this is nominal. This is 21% nominal growth, not actual growth. Okay, so because when we say actual growth, technically real GDP is GDP at constant prices. We have to keep the prices constant so that only growth, actual production should be reflected. As I told you, please wait for some time. As I told you, in chapter 4, I will discuss, because it's a long topic. It will take some time. I think it will take almost 45 minutes to distinguish between real and nominal. So if I take 45 minutes now, so before taking up GDP, then you will ask what is GDP, what is GNP, then it will be difficult. So don't worry, I will be using, economics, I'll be using in one topic, lot of other topics also. So gradually, so each topic I will discuss in detail, and I'll give you a brief idea about the peripheral topic. When we'll come to that topic, don't worry, everything will be crystal clear. Okay, once I will complete the GDP chapter, then I think everything should be clear. You can see the questions asked in any exam of maybe 30, 40 years in India, any exam. Even including UGC NET, of which is of MA level, I think at least almost 90% question you can solve from national income or whichever chapter I will talk about. Okay, so because I have seen about questions of about 20, 30 years in UPSC prelims or mains also, and some intermittently some PCS. I think whatever I will take up here, so hardly you find any question which you cannot solve. Yes, there may be a question, what was growth maybe 10 years back? Now I will not give you data, what was growth on 10 years back. The concept based question, everything will be clear, don't worry. Okay, now since time is over, so we will continue then tomorrow. Now here what will continue? Tomorrow we will continue with other concepts, like I will distinguish with inclusive growth. Okay, how economic growth, economic development are different from inclusive growth. What elements are different? What is difference in approach for inclusive growth? Okay, then I will discuss human development and then human resource development, sustainable development. So few developmental concepts, what is difference in these? Okay, and then second, I'll come to indicators of economic development like human development index. Okay, so first I will discuss 3 more concepts of development like human development, human resource development, inclusive growth and sustainable development, 4 more concepts. And then I will discuss these indicators ke HDI and where we stand in the world. Okay, then we will continue tomorrow. Next class, sorry.